Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of 4Player Podcast. My name is Nick Henderson. I am a writer and co-founder over at 4Player Network. If this is your first time listening, please look for us on iTunes and subscribe. Doing so will keep you up to date with not only this podcast, but our sister shows Cocktail Time and Audible Impressions as well. If you haven't already, swing by the website at 4playernetwork.com and join our gaming community by signing up for a free account. And last but not least, please don't forget to tune in every night over at 4pp.tv to watch us broadcast games, record podcasts, and interact with the community. But enough about that, it's time to talk about video games. Let's get started. This is the show.
Oh, I played Dishonored.
Are you serious? You did your entire category? You did all your 2012 categories without considering Dishonored for any of them?
Honestly, I don't think so.
You say something about bowls?
Are there any good boss bowls?
Oh my god. All right. Hey everybody. Welcome to 4Player Podcast. This is episode 301. It's also our 2012 award podcast. So, like we do every year, we sit around and we kind of hash out all the games that we played last year and break them down by categories. Usually we spent multiple podcasts doing this. We actually had somewhere like, that's annoying. That's annoying noise.
You want to turn the fan off?
That'd be a great idea. I'll cut this shit out.
No, you won't. You're not gonna cut shit out.
Yeah, you're
Hey,
not.
do you know how long I've spent editing these shows?
5 minutes.
You know, when I was listening to Jeff's top 10, was he bleeped out?
Yes, a
Yeah,
couple times.
he bleeped himself out, I think.
Because
Like, he can
then I listened to yours,
he can make that noise.
and there was no bleep.
No, yeah, he bleeped himself out for comedic effect.
Oh,
He can make
Was
that
it
noise
funny?
with his mouth.
I like this pretty funny. He can make
All
that.
those years of smoking.
Is that what I can do?
When he tries to hit a high C sharp, it just like beep.
Oh man, maybe I'll go in and sort of beep right there where you said it. That'd be funny.
That would be good.
Anyways,
if you keep that little bit of dialogue, everyone will know what you did. It won't be funny.
hey guys, welcome to our top 10. Wait, what are we doing?
oh god damn it, Brett! Just let me take care of the hosting, and please don't knock the table with your fist anymore. All right. So, like I said, or as I was saying before, I was rudely interrupted. We usually cover these categories. There's usually a lot more categories we cover, but this year, in favor of instead of doing that, we've kind of narrowed down the number of categories, condensed them a little bit. We don't have as many, but we're a little more focused this year, and we did our top 10 games of the year in individual videos, which you can find on 4playernetwork.com. So the first 4 of them are out already, and we're going to be releasing 2 more tomorrow and the next day. So I would encourage you to check those out if you're interested to find out what our individual top 10 lists are. But for now, we're going to go through our categories for the year and just hash this shit out. How does that sound?
Fantastic.
I think we're each going to do, for each category, we're going to do a runner-up.
Goo?
I don't know. For each category, we're going to do a runner-up and a winner. And if anyone has any honorable mentions, you can shout those out, but don't talk about them for any extended period of time, or we'll be here for hours.
Yep.
So, oh yeah, I forgot to mention Brad, Nolan, and Chris is here.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey! When Joseph hosted, the other Game of the Year award show, did they have a game I spent the most to win on?
What?
Because that probably would have been PlanetSide 2 for Joseph.
He did play that a lot.
Probably so.
Pay to win. All right, what's next?
Way to do.
What's first?
What's first? You mean? Okay, so I'm just going to go down the list here, and we're going to hash this out. So the first category on our list, best.
This is a pretty random order. I'm just going to say that.
I think I have like the nicest list out of anybody.
Hey, mine's in a nice
Mine's got a lot of heart, okay? I wrote it with my own hands.
He did.
I wrote it with my own hands too.
On a keyboard.
Yeah.
Machines coming between you and your words.
Is a pen not a machine?
It's a very basic, not at all
Define
a
machine.
I'll wait.
It is defined as go fuck yourself, Nolan.
Oh man.
All right.
What is a machine?
Do you want me to dictionary.com that shit right now before we get started? Is that to everyone's
Do we
liking?
not know what a machine is?
At what point is
I'm pretty
machine
sure it's something
human?
with moving parts. How does
What
that
is a
sound?
machine?
Oh, God damn it, Nolan.
Shouldn't that be in airplane mode?
Asking
It is.
asking his phone.
So our first category
An
is which-
apparatus using or applying mechanical power to perform a particular task.
Our best. Oh, hey, Chris. Ooh, thanks.
Oh man.
Oh, is that the light one?
What is it? What are you drinking, Brad?
Palmer.
I love
Brad's
Arnold
drinking-
Palmer. I love Arnold Palmer's, but I don't like the 0-calorie ones.
I didn't pick it.
I think we should start talking about the Arnold Palmer. Oh no, could someone close the door?
So it's fine. Just let it go. First category is what's the best Call of Duty game of the year?
Was it Call of Duty?
Yeah.
Black Ops 2. Sorry.
Oh, I didn't have Black Ops 2 on my list.
I voted for Declassified.
Oh, that shitty Vita game?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That one turned out really bad, huh?
Actually, my brother
don't worry about it.
and his daughter are playing that on the Vita, and they love it.
Have they ever played like a proper Call of Duty before?
Yeah.
Okay. I was hoping maybe that was their only exposure.
But he's
to the
like,
series.
it's sweet, you know? I lay in bed, I'm playing Call of Duty. Online, I don't know. He seems to like it.
All right.
All right, fair enough.
To each his own duty.
Call of Duty Declassified, best Call of Duty
wins
game.
best Call of Duty game of the year. What's up next, Nick?
Our first real category is best looking game. Now we broke this down. This can be aesthetic. This can be graphical. I don't care. Just whatever you think serves the game best.
Does the game justice?
So aesthetic, technical, whatever does the game justice. Who wants to go first with their runner-up? Wait, are we gonna do like all runner-ups and then winners?
Really?
I didn't realize you had such strong feelings about this, Brad.
Brad always has strong
I only
feelings
did
about
one
everything.
pick for a lot of these categories.
Well, then it'll be fast for him.
No, I feel like that will actually take longer. I just have a feeling.
We'll do runner-up, winner, honor.
All right, okay, fine. Fair enough, Brad. Why don't you start us off with your best looking game?
I don't want to start off.
Really? Fine, I'll start us off.
I'll go second.
Okay. I didn't know you were all of a sudden nervous
Or,
about
just go that way. Because
So I have to go second?
What if mine aren't very good? I got to steal y'all's.
That's most
Don't worry,
likely the case.
Mine are probably worse.
All right, how about this? My runner-up for best looking game of 2012 is The Walking Dead.
Oh, shit.
Really?
What? Did you just grimace at that?
But this is what the podcast is for. Get it out.
Get it out.
Well, I'm just saying,
why is that
it-
your runner-up?
We don't need to yell.
I'm not yelling.
It does that. That's the. I don't want to use the word cell shading because I don't think that's the proper term anymore. Go ahead. Go ahead, Brad. Crack it
do it.
open. Okay. So, Walking Dead. You distracted me because now.
I
didn't
agree
mean to.
that
I'm
it
sorry.
looks good because like it's all Wind Waker, whatever. It's gonna stand the test of time. In a few years, it's still gonna look
Yes, it's gonna look great no matter when you play it, and
But it's so like kind of busted.
There's-
good. Yeah,
Like
Technically
it
speaking.
does have some problems.
I was looking at it from an aesthetic perspective, though, not technical.
But even from an aesthetic perspective, I noticed. I guess more technical. A lot of the times they have that like those lines, those like
we call it
It's
frame
kinda like
frame
flyaway
screen tearing.
lines, like a-
screen.
No,
tearing.
like he's talking about the actual like sketchy.
Yeah,
look
it's called
of the.
flag.
There's like lines that will be off.
Yeah, so
of
hold
their
on.
actual-
Yeah, so they'll have like darker lines to put emphasis on wrinkles and
yeah,
stuff
yeah,
on their
yeah,
outfit. But the problem is those are physical things that they added to the 3D animation. So sometimes when you're looking at them from a side angle, you'll see the shading like coming off of their body,
But
like in the wrong direction.
I think what Nick appreciates is the very emotive facial expressions and
you
how
being-
that will stand the test of time. What about you, Chris?
Are you being sarcastic?
Yes, he is.
No, I'm not being sarcastic. I think that's true. I mean, at least that's the only thing I can think of that sort of stands out visually.
I don't know. I think that game. I mean, from a technical standpoint, I think it stuttered a little bit. It had some, at least on the version I was playing. I played it on the PS3. Had some screen tearing issues, so technically it didn't necessarily stack up. But like from a visual perspective, it had that comic book feel to it. It was cell shaded, quote unquote, in the best possible way, in my opinion. And I don't know. I feel like it did the game justice. I think it's going to serve. I think a game set in that universe was best served by this style of visuals.
I definitely agree. I don't know. It might. We'll have to wait and see when Activision's Walking Dead games comes out, it might look a little better.
I'm glad I opened that door and somebody walked through it. Thank you.
Yeah.
And what's your winner, bro?
My winner for best looking game of the year, Far Cry 3. The game looks fucking amazing, and I even played it on Xbox. I had plenty of experience watching Nolan play it, and I know what the PC version can do, which is very, very impressive. But that game, from a design perspective, that entire island is fucking gorgeous and fun to explore, and
It is.
and
I agree.
like I could literally walk around the island without necessarily even killing anything or anyone for a long time. Just have fun seeing what's around every corner and finding cool cliffs. Like I stumbled across, there was a mission that had to do with it, but I stumbled across it first where there's just giant fucking hole in the ground with like a, I don't even know, like a fucking huge like 500-foot drop into like a water. I don't know.
Not 500 feet.
Hey, it's hard to judge.
5,000 feet at least.
500 feet's like
That
death.
sounds
Whoa,
better.
hey,
No,
careful,
but
camera.
Sorry, but into a pool of water.
Yeah,
That's
but
like
that's
death. Nick, falling,
Okay, so what-
falling
That's a
into
50
a pool
story.
of
Okay,
water.
It looks like she's going to take a dump.
Yes. Okay.
God damn
missed
it,
it.
Brad.
Were you looking at? Never mind. I'm not going to
but
say.
in a very sensual way.
She needs to scoot back on that toilet seat. That's all I'm saying.
Falling into water that far is like falling into concrete.
Okay. I may have exaggerated a
called
little
We're
bit.
surface
talking
tension.
about best looking game anyways. Now we're talking about physics of water. Chris,
That game's pretty.
what do
It
you
is.
think is the best looking game of the year?
do
Or
you
the
runner
runner
up?
up?
My runner-up for best looking game of the year was Far Cry 3.
Yes.
Yes, I played it on the Xbox though, so
It's
I mean,
okay, Chris. You can be wrong. Sorry, I'm sorry.
Thanks, bro. I played on the Xbox, so it wasn't as good as it could have been. But
No, but I
and
think on the
did see-
Xbox it was a
yeah.
good looking
It
game.
still looked good on. There was some draw distance issues, especially at certain
I
points.
think that's
but
where the game is
it's
most noticeably
still-
different from the PC. Is the
Yeah,
draw
Yeah,
distance.
the
Definitely.
PC has a much better draw distance.
But still a very good looking game. I agree with a lot of the things that Nick said. But for me, the best looking game of the year, I gave it to Journey.
Oh.
I considered that too.
Just because there was more done in the way of like dynamic lighting that I really
Oh my god,
appreciated.
the scene where you're sliding.
Like through the sand and everything.
Oh, they're all
my
like
God.
like a reddish color.
Yeah, and the
you're-
sun is
yeah,
coming
the
in
sun
through
is
the.
just reflecting off like
and
these
then
waves.
then
of
you
sand.
pop out at the end, and the sun comes down, and you're
That mixed with like the actual like art design aesthetic of the game just made that almost impossible to look away from.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's such a beautiful game to look at. Like I went back and played more of it just because I wanted to see it again,
Yeah.
not because I wanted to play the game. So that I think for me was the best looking game.
Definitely a looker.
nice.
Nolan?
So best looking game, my runner up is Mark of the Ninja.
Yeah.
I really liked the lighting aspects of that game. I thought they did
There's a lot
it
of
really
cool
well.
subtle things they do.
Oh yeah, very much, and that's one of the reasons I liked it. There's a level where it's thunderstorms going on, and so it's pitch black, but then a crack of lightning will go off, and all of a sudden everything will brighten up. And so normally a guard would have to be pretty close to you to see you, but if you're across the entire screen when that happens, he'll see you. Just even like Splinter Cell Conviction tried to do it like when you were in the darkness, the screen went dark, and when you were in the light, it lit
Yeah.
up. That it kind of looked poopy. In this game, they do it really well. Like when you are in the darkness, you can see yourself, your silhouette, you can see your tattoos. They're pretty prominent. But then everything else is a little bit darker. And as soon as you step into the light, you and everything else around you lights up.
I think
it's done
that,
really well.
Yeah, I consider that game. I put that in my honorable mentions just because I think they do some really awesome stuff with like just the visual design of that game in general.
Cutscene animations are
the
good.
cutscene animation, but more importantly, just the way they present information to you in that game is awesome.
Yeah.
Like just the way they present sound to you and let you know that what you're doing is being heard.
Your sound bubbles. And
Yeah.
if you throw something, the sound it
Maybe
makes.
we'll even talk about that game outside of looks later.
Cool.
What's your
What's
what's
your
your winner, Nolan?
And my winner for best looking game is Journey. Actually,
Okay.
I agree
There we
with
go.
Chris. I mean, I had a lot of fun playing that game. You're just in that first area where they drop you, and you're just on the sand dunes, and just kind of running around and like sliding down the dunes. They did a really good job with the animation of
Dude, the
sands.
sand in that game looks fucking awesome.
And no, it looks really realistic. And like I said, you were saying that lighting on that one level. Climbing up the mountain, and it's all like a blizzard going on, and you have to hide from that flying creature and stuff. It was a really good looking game, and especially at the very end when you make it to that end area and you're flying around, you start very bland in the sand, and it kind of brightens up as you're going, and then it's very dreary during the whole climbing of the mountain, and then as soon as you get past that, everything's bright and you're flying around. It's just a beautiful looking game.
Cool.
It's also my runner-up for best looking game.
Nice.
I look at Journey, and it's definitely. I think when you first sit down and play Journey, that's the thing that sort of pops out. And I think the look of the game is what people are gonna maybe remember most about that.
I think it's also. I mean, I talked about it in my top 10 video, but the lack of anything on the screen. No HUD, no pop-ups, no nothing. It's just game, and they do a very good job of it.
It's close, but my winner actually goes. It's not a game I love. You're not going to find it on my top 10 list, but I love the way it looks, and that's Fez.
Nice.
And it's not just because it has a really cool. I mean, you see a lot of like these indie games that have a retro look, but I feel like Fez like captures like this world so well, and it's not just like you get so much variety. Like every fucking like area you go to looks so different.
I was watching Brad play it, and I was like, "What the fuck is he playing?" And no one was like, "Fez." And I was like, "That doesn't look like Fez." And like 2 minutes later, you switched to areas or you did something, and it changed. Like, oh, there it is.
Yeah, no, like there's like really dramatically different. You go to one area world that looks like like the original Game Boy graphics. and
that green
it's
and
distinct.
Like
it's
dark color. Yeah,
they managed to like capture like atmosphere and its visuals for something that kind of looks pretty simple. But I also I really like the animations of the character. Like there's like a lot of really cool subtlety to it that makes it super charming.
Jumping around and climbing up things.
Yeah, and just the way the world looks when it turns around is so striking, especially. Like when you go in rooms and stuff, it's such like this cool effect of like this sort of cube spinning around, and I mean, again, not a game I love, but that's easily the most memorable part of it for me. Yeah. I was playing it for capture.
That's when we were watching you do it,
and I just needed, I don't know, not too long ago, but I was playing it for like an hour, and I was like, man, I should have finished this game. It's pretty cool.
But
that's what I was talking to Nick about.
Watching you play it makes me want to play it because I didn't get to it this year.
Like when I was capturing games, like at first I was like, man, I have to capture an hour, and then all of a sudden it's been like an hour and a half, and I'm like, no, it's okay, I'll keep going. Like certain games, I'm like, man, this is why I love this game.
It's just those stood out for me because I captured both Journey and Fez. I was like, man, I forgot how good these look.
That game company.
Yeah.
That game company. So before we move on from that, if anyone has any honorable mentions for this category, I'll go ahead and throw out. I did put Journey down. I definitely thought about that. That game looks gorgeous. And Mark of the Ninja. But Dishonored is another game that I thought looks really good this year. And we'll talk about it more in future categories, I'm sure. But that game is another game that I think will stand the test of time. I mean, it still looks fairly, it's a technically impressive game. But at the same time, it's stylized enough that I think it'll can look better longer than some other games in the genre.
And I think it'll last longer than Far Cry 3.
Yeah,
because in a few years when Far Cry 3 is going to look like butt, but then that game, since it's
hard to imagine that game looking like butt. But it's true, right?
As honorable mention, I would throw out PlanetSide 2 just from like the sense of scale you get looking off on the horizon. Like it's surprisingly atmospheric. I really like the way that.
Oh, definitely.
All right, so our next category is best world or universe, and we can think of this in terms of just the physical world you're playing in, or the universe is how the universe is expanded upon with lore and all that stuff. So, who's going? Or I guess I'm going first.
Might as well.
Okay, so my runner-up. I hate myself for mentioning this. Far Cry 3. That game. The game's great.
Wait. So, okay. So I approach this more as like.
You can approach it however you want.
The idea of us condensing this is you can kind of address these however you feel fit. I mean, this.
Explain why you chose that as
my runner-up is more as like an ecosystem. Like they developed a really awesome physical world that you can play in that game. And it has a lot to do with the day-night cycle, the weather effects, the animals that are not only there just to be filler, because they were filler in Far Cry 2. Yeah. You couldn't do anything. In this game, they interact with each other, they interact with you, they interact with enemies.
That's what I was going to say. Is I agree with your ecosystem in the sense that one time I was sneaking up on a group of rebels or whatever, and a tiger attacked me. But another time I was sneaking up on a group of rebels and tiger attacked them.
Just came out of nowhere
and just
comes running out of the forest.
And I just kind of stood there, and then it killed them all, and there was one guy left, and so I just shot him, and I was done.
No, that stuff, when it happens so fluidly. It's awesome. You all like. I'm sure we've all had that moment in Far Cry where it's kind of like straight out of Jurassic Park with the where you're aiming down the sights and all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, and there's like a jaguar like right next to you and you're like, oh fuck, and then it just attacks you.
One of those devil chickens.
No,
yes, the devil chickens.
the capybara. What's it?
Capybara?
Capybara?
A capybara is a giant guinea pig.
Yeah. No.
Somebody.
Casa something.
I once saw somebody in a store in Austin with a capybara on a leash.
What? That can't be legal.
I don't know if it was legal, but it was
permit or something.
it was real.
And what is your favorite world?
Dishonored.
Oh, yes.
That
See, shit though, man.
but
I approach this as like best lore, not physical.
no, that's
world.
great. I mean, a lot of it has to do with the lore. I think that that world certainly looks gorgeous, but there's also so much. That world felt so alive because of all the backstory they put into it. All like the thing about the famine, the disease, and how that was kind of seeping through every corner of that world. Everyone you talked to would comment on that stuff, and you would see it in the people wandering the streets and the body bags you would see everywhere.
One of the things I would have liked to see happen in that, I liked it, but it was maybe someone diseased, maybe you could like lure them in somehow and they would attack soldiers and like make them diseased and stuff like that.
Oh, I don't know about making them diseased, but I think you can lure them.
No, they'll fight with them if they get in the wrong area. But I'm saying that'd be cool if they like coughing all over them and stuff. That makes me think of that scene from Fight Club.
Oh yeah, when he's on top of the guy and he's just bleeding all over.
Yeah, like something like that, like attack them and like it spread the infection and stuff like that. I thought that would have been cool, but
there's a lot of, even though like, the thing like you get this really good sense of separation of status in this game, like the rich versus the poor. Like you go to you spend one level going through the sewers and the streets where you see all these infected people, and then the next level you're in this giant mansion, this huge rich party, and there's people walking around with like masks on and eating giant beasts on. It's fucking cool, and that world felt so alive to me, even though it was. For the most part, it's kind of a linear game. It's an open linear game. I don't know how to describe it, but
I almost liken it to Arkham Asylum.
Yeah,
that the areas are open when you're there, but the areas themselves are linear.
Yeah, and
in between them. Yeah,
and it just I feel like that world was as developed as say something like, like a Rockstar game in a lot of senses. It feels lived in, which is really cool. Chris.
Okay, so for my runner-up for Best World Universe, I picked Mass Effect 3. Because, I've always been a fan of the Mass Effect universe since the first game came out. I've read the books. I've been really into this and invested. The reason why I got runner-up is because we did see a lot of new locations, a lot of new cool things that have been mentioned before, but certain things like the Citadel felt really confined. There weren't very many
stuff that was used to be open is now kind of
it was. They were showing me less of stuff that I've already seen that I would have kind of liked to see more of. But I still think that as far as like brand new, newer sci-fi IPs go, Mass Effect has done a really good job of fleshing out their galaxy that they do.
It'd be fucking cool if BioWare decided to release Mass Effect DLC that's sort of like side stories, but they actually released like the missions take place in the Mass Effect 1 Citadel.
That would be cool. Like just re-release those.
Just re-release the Mass Effect 1 Citadel and have you do side missions.
That would
be
really fucking cool
instead of fucking Mass Effect 3 Citadel.
Yeah. Which is just like a hospital and
it's like 3
shopping center.
So what's your winner?
My winner was Dunwall from Dishonored.
Nice.
Only because, like you were saying, they put so much thought and detail into this one city that you're in. But then when you step back and look at it, it's one city on one island in this entire empire.
Yeah.
There's
a lot of places that could go if they continue it.
There's so much. You have to wonder what else is out there, and we see little aspects of things that drive this world, like the whaling industry and stuff like that, but you don't actually ever get on a whaling ship. You don't see one of those in action.
I wish there was more of the whaling stuff in there.
You don't there's so much more to that world that I feel like they've thought of, that they have planned on, that they just didn't tell us about.
True.
And that's that.
I really hope
want to see more.
There's been they've been not very spoken about whether they plan to continue this as as a franchise, or if that's kind of a one-off thing,
or at least do a different game in the same world.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't even have to be another stealth game. I want to see more of that world.
Yeah,
that sounds good.
Make it a strategy game.
That'd be crazy.
Cool.
Nolan.
My runner-up for Best World Universe is Journey. And the reason I chose that was because I like the best thing, in my opinion, was you're in a world and they tell you nothing about anything. And then you find those small little temples, which will, you can read the murals and they'll tell you kind of what's been going on and why you are the way you are. And then just the interactions with other characters in this world, I just thought was amazing. Just like I said, the first time I played it, I honestly did not know I was playing with somebody else.
That's kind of cool. So did somebody tell you while you were playing that you were playing with somebody else, or
I think I found out or I don't know if it was just I kind of had a hunch because I was like this
because my mind
if I move kind of weird.
Yeah, this isn't acting like what the fuck is this thing doing? Yeah. And then I don't remember how I found out. I found out sometime before I finished.
Yeah.
But I just thought it was really good. Like I said, the interactions with other characters and stuff like that. I mean, we were talking about that one when you're surfing down that, but right before then, when you're going parallel to the screen through all that long tunnel with all the pillars and stuff. Yeah, and you're going through there, and all of a sudden, my guy caught up to me, my friend, and we were kind of going back and forth and stuff, just like communicating with each other without words or anything besides a little blip you could do. And I thought that was really unique the way they did that.
It's
how they
it's
designed
brilliantly
that world.
done.
And I really hope they do something more with it.
It's a That Game Company game though, so it's not very likely.
That's probably not.
But if that's not the best world, Nolan, what is?
In my opinion, the best world universe for 2012 was Dragon's Dogma. I thought it was a fantastic world they created. Yeah, Grancis. You start off in Casardis or whatever, that little town that's all really simple. And I started playing and I'm like, oh, I can fucking climb on top of buildings and jump across building rooftops and stuff. And then
that's the most surprising shit because you never have the ability to climb and jump around
in an RPG
and those types of RPGs.
Yeah, I never saw that coming. And I'm climbing on a building and I find a book of scriptures and stuff, and some guy in a church wanted it and all this stuff. And then as soon as you open up into the big main area of the map, it just blew my mind.
Yeah.
And one of the things I was talking to Nick about when I was recording was, this is a game like Fallout 3, something like that, where there's this huge world that you need a map to get through. But after a while, the world became so familiar to me, I could turn off my mini-map because I knew where I was. You could put me down anywhere in that game, and I could tell you, Grand Soren's that way, the encampment's that way.
That's a theme we've, on this site in particular, we've talked about since the days of talking about Zelda, back why we loved that game. I mean, that's always a great feeling when you learn a world. I mean, that happened a few times, in really weird games for me too, playing Grand Theft Auto, when you started to actually learn the streets and shit. I was like, okay, I'm playing this game too much. But it's an awesome feeling, no matter what game it's in.
Yeah, so I really like the universe they created, the whole interaction with other people's pawns and pawns learning things from each other. I mean, I think they could have done it better, and I really hope there is a Dragon's Dogma 2 where they're
in serious talks about that, right?
They are, and I just hope they fix the pawn system because it's good, but it's a little broken, in my opinion.
Definitely a very innovative mechanic.
All right.
Go, Brad.
Next, so I initially thought this was going to be more of a lore approach, which sort of world was created that you thought was most interesting. But now that you are talking about physical worlds,
you're changing it.
My runner up is actually going to be Xenoblade, and I'm not in love with Xenoblade as much as a lot of other people are. I sort of have this strange dissenting opinion that everybody seems to hate. But one thing that is probably the best part about that game is the physical world itself. In terms of lore, it's pretty strange. You're actually on this god giant thing
on their body.
The planet that you inhabit is kind of like this body, and as you're going through the areas in the game, it's you're on his knee, and you can see a map of the god, and
I just remember
the knee is flashing.
I just remember our first conversation about this.
About how much of the game you think takes place on his penis?
Yeah. Running down the penis.
but this is a fucking Wii game. But these areas are so giant.
Yeah. So he goes, I see it coming. Oh God, the dick jungle.
No, because it's if you have a lot of girls in your party, the penis takes longer to get through because
you'd be surprised. The dick jungle actually doesn't have a lot of trees. It's very clean,
well trimmed, a lot of manscaping,
well trimmed.
Godscaping.
What's so impressive is the scale of these areas. Like you'll look out on this huge expanse, like fucking Skyrim size in a JRPG, and you can actually go there, and it's all loaded in. So at the point when you start like fast traveling around, it's instantaneous because that giant fucking area that you've been exploring for hours it's actually there.
This is on the Wii, right?
Yeah, it's on the Wii. I mean, I played it on the Dolphin emulator, but that is by far the most like impressive thing about that game. It's just the huge expansive world, and you'll be in these areas for hours and like completely seamlessly. But my favorite, and this is more like in terms of lore. Okay. So I put this as my winner because it's a world that I want to see definitely more stories in because I think the lore that sets it up is really interesting. That's the world of Binary Domain.
Oh, okay.
And I think it has a lot to do with sort of where the story is in that world at the point where people are just starting to realize that there are these humans that you don't realize are actually, or they don't realize that they're robots. Mm-hmm. And some of the most memorable scenes from that game.
Spoiler alert.
Well, no, that's like you learn early on. Some of the most memorable scenes in that game are these horrible scenes of these humans realizing they're not actually fucking human, and that's just
so. I caught some of that the other day while I was recording too, and it reminded me. I mean, that game, I played that game to completion. I loved it.
It's an interesting place for that world to be in, and because of that, I would love to see like more stories in there. Kind of like give me a fucking Yakuza game. Well, it is by the creators of Yakuza, but make it open world and let me run around and stumble into these like little side stories, these side quests. That would be great.
Even on like a physical world level, that game is like at first glance, really cool. At first glance, it doesn't look like anything special. But as you spend more time in it, you start to realize this game actually looks really good and it's technically impressive.
When you get into the fancier areas, like the richer areas of that world, it's stuff that starts.
And they do some really cool stuff with like camera angles and cinematic stuff that's shouldn't be overlooked either. It's a good looking game.
I just thought it was a really cool world. Yeah, I mean, I love the world of Mass Effect, but I kind of left off stuff that I kind of experienced before. But yeah, it's
honorable mention for me.
Yeah,
I Am Alive. Really brown, really gray, but man, that world is bleak to good effect.
I have the opposite. My honorable mention is Hotline Miami. This is the one I swapped out with. That's such a awesome, like fucking 80s cocaine filled, colorful world.
Cocaine.
Yeah. It's like I mean, the graphics are kind of simplistic, but man, they really get the vibe down, and it's just a really cool, crazy world to be in.
Yeah, true. All right, our next category is Best Boss Fight. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying, as I was going through my list of games that I played, I realized that not many of the games that I played this year had much in the way of traditional boss fights. But here we go. My runner-up, the Wheelman from Silent Hill Downpour. More based, not on the boss fight itself, because that series has never been really great because of its combat. It's one of the end bosses in Silent Hill Downpour. It's more of a thematic.
You're talking about the game Wheelman.
No.
Which none of us know because we haven't.
No, you haven't. So let me just give you the breakdown of it. I mean, it's one of the final enemies. For me, it's more of a symbolic thing. It's more of a thematic thing because that series has never been known for its combat. And although I think the combat in this game is better than it has been, I don't like this boss fight because of that. It's more about how it ties into the story and how it ties into the character of the game, and it's this big giant like
wheel.
No, it's like a guy in a wheelchair, but he's huge and he's like.
Is the wheelchair huge too?
Yes.
Okay.
But it's a symbolic of another character related to the main character of the game and his guilt that he feels for being involved in that character's like death.
You put him in a wheelchair.
Kind of. So, but it's like, but you have to run around this giant open environment and like unplug his the whatever you call
life support.
You have to take him off life support to
pull
kill him.
The plug. Euthanasia.
Yeah, you're pulling the plug essentially. Which like that game does. That series has always done cool stuff with symbolism and themes and stuff like that, which I really liked. But my winner, also kind of reaching here. Mass Effect 3, the Reaper battle, where you're sitting on the cliffside and you're shooting at that giant Reaper, and then you have this really crazy conversation with
the
him.
Targeter.
Yeah.
I hated that battle.
It's not the. See, I was really reached for boss fights this year because there weren't a lot of great ones. To be totally
probably because there wasn't too many character action games.
There were better boss fights in that game,
in my opinion.
I can't remember. I remember the one like the mech that you fight as you're trying to get that Krogan out of the female Krogan.
Yeah. There's that big square room. You know what a square looks like?
I know what a square looks
and,
like. You gotta go deeper than that, Nolan.
More of a rectangle. Was that 2 or 3? And there was like a guy.
This is important.
The Terminator.
That sounds like
Mass Effect is known for awesome boss fights.
Are you talking about when you fight Saren in Mass Effect 1? That was an awesome boss fight.
Yes, but I don't think that's what
that big rectangular room where he's jumping around the walls and shit.
That was a great fucking boss.
That was a
that was
awesome
more.
Am I thinking about
that room? Was
that was
more
probably
of
the only memorable boss fight in the whole
maybe
goddamn
that's why
series.
that's the only one I remember.
You know, I really wish.
Yes.
Really, guys?
Yes.
I really, I think in retrospect, I think I'd like the Reaper boss fight more for what happened directly following the boss fight, because that was one of the most memorable scenes of that game for me.
I hated that because what I wanted to happen didn't happen.
Yeah, so I wanted.
And I actually reloaded a previous save 3 hours earlier to see if I could get what I wanted to happen, and it still didn't, and I was pissed.
I can imagine. So I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Go for it, Chris.
Cool. Christoph.
By the way, if DMC had come out 15 days earlier, I probably would have put one of the boss fights from the first 3 hours of that game on my list.
Oh,
if
really?
DMC had come out 15 days earlier, it would have came out on the 31st.
I heard the boss
Which
fights
would have been...
Which would have counted.
Boss fight's pretty good. Stop looking at my screensaver.
All right. So my runner-up for best boss fight, this one is also a wee bit of a reach because it's not really for any gameplay aspect. Halo Reach. No, it's for the final encounter with Charles Lee. Assassin's Creed 3.
I had thought about that,
but then
it's not really. But that's why it's a runner-up. It's not really a gameplay because
runner.
you only run. Yeah. Okay, so
are you talking about the chase?
No.
Isn't that the worst part of the game?
But it only took me 2 tries to get it, so it's not nearly as bad as a lot of people.
Fuck yourself.
Anyway, the trick is running up the ship. Anyway.
You just run up the ship. That's great.
That part sucks. What I do like is the last encounter between Connor and Charles Lee.
You mean the cutscene?
Yeah, the cutscene.
After that.
The cutscene is brilliant, yes.
Which I don't want to spoil if you haven't played it. I mean, I don't know. I feel like most
Have
people
you played
who-
that part? You haven't played that part.
No,
have you?
it's a
But
really
that
great...
That was a good moment.
Besides that
was
not being a boss battle, I will agree that was an amazing interaction and an amazing end to that.
right.
That encounter.
Yes.
It was great.
I enjoyed it. But my actual
Winner.
best boss battle for the year was the Kai Lang fight from Mass Effect 3.
All right, you have to remind me who that was.
Kai Lang was the cyborg ninja
yeah.
guy that you
Oh!
fight. You go to the elusive man's like inner sanctum and you fight him in there.
Okay,
There's
maybe-
a lot of really cool things that happen in that fight. I mean, like, I don't know. It just that character was such a fucking prick too.
He was.
And even from the books, like I said,
He was a prick because he was a bitch and he took out someone who deserved better.
Exactly. Yes, that's a big motivating factor for the whole thing too. And in fact, at the end of that fight, you beat him. He's down on the ground. You think he's down, and then he gets back up and he kind of limps up behind Shepard, who's sitting at a computer station, and he acts like he's gonna stab him. And I don't know if this is spoilery or
Do we care about spoilers?
Wait.
Brad? See, the thing is, I did this fight.
We care about some spoilers.
Yeah.
okay. Well, anyways. The little cutscene that follows that fight too
You
is
don't need to spoil a
incredibly.
cutscene to talk about a boss fight, though. Really, so
Yeah, that was. Like
I will ask you to tell me,
It was
remind me
very-
what happens later because I've already forgotten.
Yeah,
Cool,
But that was
so-
incredibly satisfying.
My runner-up for best boss fight is...
Can't read this.
No, I can read it. Calm down.
Okay.
Is so it's kind of a stretch, but I did. So in Dragon's Dogma, there are specific boss fights, but in my opinion, some of these like random encounters with the larger creatures,
Just regular enemies throughout the game.
yeah, and so it actually kind of becomes a thing. Like when you encounter them, it's like an ambush has occurred, blah blah, and it gives you like a temporary like a random quest, and as soon as you beat them, you win. And so I mean, certain ones like chimeras, like cyclopses, dragons are that type of random encounter. But I consider them boss battles because they don't have a bar of health. Some of them have like 7 bars of health.
And
so I would consider that a boss battle. And some of those are some of the best interactions. And I remember the first time I was talking about this game, I don't know if y'all remember, it was my first night out in that game when I wasn't able to get back to town before night fell.
Yeah.
And I only had one lantern, and it didn't glow very bright, and this pack of wolves was attacking me. And the problem with wolves is if you played the game, you know that if you try and get close, they run away. Yeah. Right, Brad? They will try and stay on the outskirts and circle you.
Especially at night, they're terrifying.
Exactly. And so this is my first night home. I'm hearing wolves, and I can see the outlines of them on the rim of my
light.
And every time I try and get close, they back up. And so I'm freaking out. And then I think I get a couple killed, and then a chimera jumps in.
Oh my god!
And it was just terrifying. And so I'm fighting these wolves and a chimera, and this is the very beginning of the game.
And it's black as fuck outside.
Yeah, and so this is when chimeras were a real challenge. Like right now, if I were to go,
God damn, the first 10 hours of Dragon's Dogma is better than anything that came out.
It's ridiculous how good that game is, and it's also good because I like now. I mean, I think I was talking to somebody in chat, and they don't like that the enemies don't scale in this game. Yeah, they're as powerful.
I like that though.
I do, and so like now when I fight a chimera, I just jump on his face and slash a couple times, and he's dead.
Yeah,
and so I mean, I like that I have become that powerful. But looking back, it makes me remember how much I love this game because of how terrified I was in these encounters.
Levels.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I compared it to like a Metroid or a Castlevania or like the Metroidvanias where you start off like very weak.
Yeah,
you can die real quickly, but by the end you're just running around just like a god. Yeah. You don't fear anything.
Yep. And my winner for the best boss fight is FTL Faster Than Light, the Rebel flagship at the end of the game. It's a really good battle. So when you get to the last area of the game, you start off with your allied fleet. You had to give them some information, and so they refuel and they repair your ship, and then you go after the Rebel flagship. And it's actually broken down into 4 different battles. Mm-hmm. So you start off fighting them, and they only use some of their weapons. They don't use everything, and they have some teleporters and stuff, but they don't use everything at first. And as soon as you get their health down a certain amount, then they kind of run away, which gives you a chance to repair your ship or do something else, because you have a limited amount of time. The Rebel ship is constantly moving towards the allied fleet. So you have to kill them before they get there. But it gives you time to, do stuff in between battles. And there's 4 different battles. And so, I mean, I like the way it was set up.
Yeah.
It was a good fight.
Well, the Rebel flagship is also my runner-up.
It's funny how that keeps happening.
Yeah. Well, I love FTL. What's great about FTL, it's this hardest balls game.
Yep.
Where you're making...
What's the farthest you've gotten?
Wait. It's this hardest balls game where you're making these like horribly tough decisions because everything is building to this one fight at the end against this rebel ship because he's harder than anything you've ever fought before. Like not even close. Yeah. It's insane. Like when you first see him, he's like 4 times bigger than any craft you've come across, and like it's manned by like 18 dudes running around the inside.
Most ships in this game take up maybe a third of half of the screen. Yeah. And they usually have anywhere from 3 to 4 people on them. And the Rebel flagship takes up over half of a screen. And yeah, it has like 20 people on it.
It's horrifying. And when you get to that boss, you realize, like the first time I got to him, I'm like, well, yeah, right. There's no chance. And and this is like the first form that I'm looking at. And then I find out he has like 3 forms. And it's like insane. In the second form, he just sends out like fucking 10 drones, and they all start shooting your ship, and you're like, how the fuck? But then you realize, the purpose of FTL is to prepare for that one fight instead of just trying to make it to the end.
Yeah.
And the first couple of times I played, I was trying to survive. Yeah. Little did I know you can't do that.
Surviving isn't what the game's about.
No, everything is about preparation. Like, if you don't have your shield's maxed out, you're probably not gonna make it.
Yeah. So what happens is like you find yourself like you'll find something awesome in a shop and you'll want to buy it because I'm getting my ass kicked. Let me buy that thing so I start getting my ass kicked. When really you need to be thinking, well, you know what, this next sector is gonna be hard, but I have to keep getting my ass kicked because I need to save up for this one thing that'll help me beat the final boss, because that's what matters, not having a hard time right now.
Yeah.
So but my number one goes to a boss fight that I had a lot of hard time with, and that's because I was playing on hard and there was no checkpointing. But every single boss in this game was like insanely creative, way more creative than any boss that's been in this series before, and I appreciate that a lot. And and I'm gonna give it to the final boss of Twisted Metal. I know a lot of people didn't actually get to the end of the campaign because it was balls hard, but especially on fucking hard because there's no checkpointing. This is like a multi-level boss that's crazy. You start out and it's like some giant fucking vehicle that it's like a giant fucking tank that when you start the fight, you're actually driving underneath, and there's all these dark tooths like flying at you, trying to like knock you out and like destroy you. Because if you get left behind while you're chasing underneath this giant ass vehicle, you'll lose health and you'll die. And you start out and you're just trying to like shoot this clown head at the very front of it underneath. It's like fucking Star Wars, episode 4. The big fucking thing that had the droids. It reminds me of the Super Star Wars on the SNES.
A New Hope?
The big fucking thing that rolls across the sand.
The Jawa? The Jawa?
Yeah, that thing. It's like that size.
Wow.
And you're driving underneath it, and it's like, it's balls hard. But once you actually get into the thing and you go up into it, like the first part of it is like this giant pinball table. and you're being bounced around on these bumpers, and there's like psycho clowns running at you, jumping on your car, trying to like attack you and blow you up, while you're just trying to build up a like fucking fly up these ramps in this pinball table to knock, to destroy this like giant sweet tooth nose. And then when you get past that insane part, you're going down this like the tube of death traps with everything like swinging and balls like with spikes fucking knocking you off. The boss is a giant level, and it's crazy. It's insane. And for me, it was super nerve wracking because if I died on any one of those parts, I started the whole thing over. But that's my fault because I played on hard. And then the last part, you're piloting a helicopter, killing these flying dark tooths, lifting them up with your magnet, and like dropping them into this giant like fucking clown head that's shooting missiles and stuff at you. It's insane.
It does sound
It's absolutely insane.
It's like what we were talking about, these like pretty standard boss things.
No.
Like wolves, and he's like, it's a fucking level with fucking clown noses and helicopters, and that's crazy.
And that's like, honestly, this whole list for me could have been boss fights from the game. I know y'all have at least seen the giant doll face robot where you're driving along cliff sides and stuff. Yeah. It's another amazing boss fight in that game.
Cool.
But yeah.
Well, thank you, Brad. We're gonna take a quick break real quick because we've hit about 45 minutes. We'll come back.
We've only done 3.
I know. We'll have to pick the pace up a little bit in the next round. But don't go anywhere. Yeah, Brad's like, we've only done what?
We'll be quick.
Yeah. We've done 3 out of like 20.
Yeah.
Honorable mention is the final boss from Legend of Grimrock. It's just hilarious.
Is it good?
The cube?
Yeah. Wait.
Didn't we just
you
say...
talked about it
Oh,
before.
yeah.
Didn't we just say we're going to keep it shorter? So
that was just honorable mention.
Okay. Okay, so don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be back in a second, and we'll continue on with our category, starting with Best New Character. So don't leave. Don't worry, Brad. I got it under control. Why don't we just kick things off with the next category and let me worry about that?
Let's go.
The next category is Best New Character of 2012.
I'll go first.
Now you want to go first. Okay.
No, we should probably keep it the way
Probably.
we're going.
Let's just keep it the way we're going.
But I feel like it's a new segment. We can mix things up.
Nope.
Nick, just go.
My runner-up, got to give it to Voss from Far Cry 3. This is not necessarily going to be characters you're playing as, but I think Voss was a
I don't even think characters you're playing
I
as. I liked the idea of him, but I don't think they took him. Like, I thought he was going to be a much bigger deal than he was.
The thing is, he's one of those characters that's really well developed, but he ends up getting... He's out of the picture earlier than he should be, I think.
I think he's out of your vision sooner than he should be.
Which is why I didn't give him my winner. I just thought, as far as a character goes, I think he's one of the most interesting like villain characters they've put in a game in a long time. And I wish
he's an honorable mention for me. I didn't finish that game, but I got to. I guess his. Well, I mean,
he's more like the mid-game.
No, I agree that he was a good
whatever.
character, but I don't think there was enough of him. I thought
no, there definitely wasn't enough of him.
The only reason I mention him is because of the comment about I love this fucking phone. That's why.
No, he was definitely a fucking crazy character, and he played it well.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, he's kind of the character they were using for a long time to hype up that game, and rightfully so. I think he stands out as the best character in that game.
Probably.
Even more so than the character you're playing as.
Jason Brody sucks balls.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Jason Brody does suck the balls. But my best character of 2012, I've got to give it to Clementine from The Walking Dead because of the
Peer
feels.
pressure.
Peer pressure. No, man. That character's great. And once again, not the character you're playing as, but the character that kind of drives you forward in that game as your motivator. It's just one of those characters that I felt something for this year. And, seeing that story through to its conclusion, a lot of people talked about wanting if they go do season 2 to make it an entirely new set of characters. But I don't know. As far as that universe goes, I think she's by far one of the most interesting characters.
If, season 2, she travels around with a new set of people, and then season 3, she travels around with a new set of people, and it turns out she caused it all.
What if I don't know. I've always thought maybe season 2 would be like a jump forward in time, so she's no longer like a kid. I don't know.
What if you find out she's the one who gave the codes to the Cylons?
Good point, Brad.
Would you like her then?
Good point. And as an honorable
Is
mention,
she Athena's daughter?
Chris.
I was just gonna say as an honorable mention, Edie, Mass Effect 3. Didn't see that one coming.
All right.
As like a
Really
character.
new character.
Yeah, not
but-
technically a new
okay.
character.
Technically.
New character and a new
She was
body.
alright. She was alright.
Did you say that because I brought up Battlestar Galactica?
No,
And Trisha Helfer was Edie.
I didn't know that. I've
Who was
never watched
also
that show.
Caprica 6, who
Caprica
got
6.
the codes out of... Whatever. Okay. Chris.
Okay. My honorable mention for best character is going to go to the Didact from Halo 4. I liked him. I thought he was a good, sinister villain. That it was nice to have that one character that
You could focus on
that
as
was
the
a
villain.
focus as a villain, which is something that Halo's kind of lacked.
Thank
in
you.
the franchise.
I've always thought that. That's why I didn't like. That's why I never latched on to Halo 1, 2, or 3. Is because there was no.
They would always have these prophets and things like that, but you never really fought them.
You
always
fought
just,
a prophet in Halo 2.
yeah. The one not the main one that was driving
Oh,
the antagonistic.
I'm just
forces.
surprised I remember that.
Yeah,
Sorry.
but you
Yeah, me
did.
too,
You did
actually.
fight. You did fight. Prophet of Regret, I think, in Halo 2.
Halo. Brad's eyes just glazed over.
Right.
Anyway,
The Arbiter could turn invisible.
yes.
That's what I remember.
But yeah, I think the Didact was he had more of a classic villain feel to him, which I think is something that Halo has lacked. My favorite character of the year, though, best character,
Master Chief.
Tiny Tina.
Tiny
From
Tina.
Borderlands.
I thought about her as
I thought she was really funny. I enjoy it. I really like Ashley Birch. I think she's.
I
funny.
thought she was just that was Ashley Birch. I mean, that was
Yeah, but I mean, just the idea of what a kid in that ridiculous, fucked up world would turn out
I
like.
agree.
It turned out like Tiny Tina.
Yeah.
And she's cute and adorable and just incredibly homicidal.
Yeah.
And really good with explosives. And I don't know. It just
Sounds like a good
it's
combination to me.
Really charming. Really charming.
Nolan.
you all right, Killer?
Yeah, we lost right audio. Can you jiggle the cables? Those sort of make sure those are plugged in right.
Although
Especially the red one.
My honorable mention would also be Handsome Jack.
What about you?
So I
Carlos?
thought about
Sorry, I blinked for a second.
go fuck yourself. So I thought about Voss. I did like him a lot. Voss.
Boss.
Okay, yeah, just- the first time when we were at E3 and they showed us that one cutscene where
His speech about the definition of insanity is amazing.
and I thought that was really good. I thought they were almost going like a Heath Ledger Joker kind of route where he's literally insane and he's constantly going to be coming up and stuff. And I was let down by the fact that
I bet if you were to ask the team what their inspiration was for that character, I wouldn't be surprised at all if Heath Ledger's Joker came up.
Yeah, maybe. I also thought about Tiny Tina. I mean, I guess I'll give both of them honorable mentions. I did like those characters, but in both cases, I wish I would have seen more of them. Mm-hmm. My runner-up for best character is Lee Everett.
From Walking Dead.
Yes, so that is the character that you play as. And so I thought he was a good character because he's whatever you want him to be, almost in a sense, because you control the decisions he makes. You can make him a good guy. You can make him a bad guy. You can make him lie to everyone. You can make him kill everyone.
You mean like Mass Effect? I'm sorry, I was trying to do it.
I guess.
I was trying to punch Mass Effect in the balls for you, Nolan, but I failed.
But yeah, so that's why I liked him. I like that I was able to vicariously live through him. I was able to I tried to act as myself through him. I didn't try and act like who this guy would act. I tried to make it me,
which is a lot easier in that game than any other game that I've played.
And my winner for best new character is Clementine.
Yeah. Clementine.
So I mean, just the interactions. I literally felt like I was responsible for this girl. And there was one scene in episode 2 where I killed somebody because he deserved it, and Clementine saw. And I freaked the fuck out because I was like, I never would have done that if I knew she was there. And I just wanted to go back, and I felt so bad.
I came out of my room and no one was bawling.
Not really. But anyway,
tears everywhere.
But later on in that episode, you have a chance to kill someone else, and Lee kind of turns, and I see all the people standing there, and I was like, I'll let him live. When I know everyone's looking. And at the end of that episode, I kind of felt bad because I paused the game. The counter was ticking down to make a decision, and I could not.
Cheater!
I know. I feel so bad because I cheated.
There were a couple times where I was just kind of lazy. I let Malia play the game, and man, she made some bad decisions. Holy shit! I had to what are you doing? I had to take it back.
So Brad, why don't you go?
It's funny because I thought long and hard about this. All the characters, and my favorite characters of the year also come from the same game, the same game that y'all mentioned, but it's not Lee and Clem. Mm-hmm. I feel like what makes a character super fucking interesting is like Clementine.
I know where this is going.
And what you do?
I think. Just go.
We'll see. I feel like Clementine's a really charming character, but she's pretty straightforward. She doesn't really surprise you, and I feel like Lee is just sort of yourself.
Yeah,
which is interesting. But I feel like what makes a really good character is sort of what made Walking Dead as good as it is. Mm-hmm. And for me, my runner up is Lily. And I'll tell you why. Because at first,
Lily, okay.
She's like this nice, strong female character at first, but you think she's kind of a bitch at first, right?
She was never nice.
Well, I think no, that's the thing.
Bitch is an understatement.
That's the thing. Yeah. At first, I didn't like her, and I wasn't nice to her. Mm-hmm. But and a lot of it's because I didn't really like her father, right? But you realize that this is a post-apocalyptic setting, especially in that first episode and start of the second one. You start to realize, well, she's actually probably thinking about this right. Like when some food goes missing, she's like, well, we need to find out who's taking it. Like, I realized as time went on is when I was first skeptical of her, I started to take her side. It kind of surprised me. I was like, well, I'm going to take her side here because of another character. I started to maybe question it, and I realized that Walking Dead is all about trust. It's making decisions in these group situations, and oftentimes you're making decisions not based on living or dying, but based on some of the groups thinking this and some of the groups thinking this. Whose side am I on in this choice here?
This is
whose relationship am I gonna side with, right? But Lily's really interesting because I started to trust her, but then she does something, and you're not expecting it. But it's fucking realistic. I mean, in this type of setting,
real punch in the gut.
Yeah. My favorite character though is Kenny.
Yep, there we go. That's it.
What? There's nothing wrong with Kenny. I love Kenny.
I hated Kenny.
But see, that's the fucking interesting thing about this game, because it's a character who at first is very much on your side, and you're like, well, I'm gonna stick by this dude. He seems like he has his head on his shoulders. He has this family. I'm gonna help them out, right? But then throughout the course of the game, you see in situations like, oh well, he hesitated here when I needed help. Maybe I can't trust him, but then he'll maybe redeem himself in an interesting way,
and his goals become more unrealistic.
It's complex, real fucking people. The kinds of things we don't usually get in video games.
No, that's true.
And to me, that's why these characters are so memorable. And throughout the course of the game, I was going sort of back and forth on Kenny, just like I was Lily. And I think that's honestly what makes him super interesting. Or by the end of it, I was like, I don't even know what to think. He says, do this thing. They're screaming, do this thing. I don't even fucking know. And it's those relationships that you develop through these complex and interesting characters that made these choices so hard. It was never like, am I going to die? You know, like the story is going to culminate in a certain way, but you knew no decision you made was going to make, your main character die or live or anything like that. That was going to happen a certain way. But I was always concerned about these relationships when it popped up on the side where, like, Kenny thinks you're kind of a dick now. And I was like, no, man. Or like, well,
So you were like, Kenny. Like, Kenny was one of my favorite characters. Like, I felt he was my best friend in the game. Like, that, me and Kenny hanging out. And so I thought it was great until he was being a little pouty bitch on the train. But
well, come on, man. If you played the game, you know why he's being a pouty bitch. He wouldn't let me get the
fucking maps. All I'm saying is the maps were right in front of him, and I was like,
I just need to get those maps over there.
Right? I'm like, hey, Kenny, can I just grab these maps? Fuck you, Lee. Well, fuck you, Kenny. But, dude, like, I loved Kenny, but I fucking hated his goddamn son. Oh, my God.
Duck?
Fuck Duck. I hated Duck so goddamn much.
It's amazing because Duck didn't play much of a part in this game
at all. I don't understand why you
I
latched
hated
onto
him. But then at the start of episode 3, like, you do this really sort of funny thing with him. When he helps you like investigate something, and you start to like him. What's so great about these fucking characters is that you constantly go back and forth. Like
your opinions of them evolve.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, your opinions definitely change.
Speaking of going faster. We just spent 11 minutes on one category.
But that's an important category.
It's
not like
category.
fucking soundtrack is going to take
Let me just say, as the last honorable mention, this is not a new character, but I feel like this character came into her own this year, and I actually really latched onto this character. Cortana.
I knew you were going to fucking say that. Fuck you.
I really liked this character.
Just because she looks attractive now.
No. It has nothing to do with that.
It
has nothing to do with that.
I'm going to throw out Ben.
God damn it!
No.
Ben.
God
Ben,
damn it,
I agree. Ben is a very interesting character because of yes.
We can't talk
We
about.
really need a Walking Dead spoiler cast.
Okay.
Yeah,
we
do.
really need
We
it
do. Okay.
because we have never been able to.
The fact that
game.
our opinions of these characters are so varied, like that's a fucking leap forward.
To how,
that doesn't happen with characters in video games. You know. It's like, oh, I was actually cool with Sephiroth. No one's having conversations about how interesting that fucking character is.
That's true. But our next category is best debut, which is kind of the same thing as saying best new IP of the year. So these are games that are not sequels; they are completely original games that will hopefully move forward as franchises.
Yep.
I'll start off. Runner up, I Am Alive.
Nice.
I think this game started as a full blown retail title, and then was eventually kind of. What are you doing? Sorry,
it's not worth it, Brad.
Oh God, Brad,
it's not worth it.
Don't do it, Brad. Don't do it.
Keep talking.
Sorry, you're walking behind me. It's all weird. Anyways, I Am Alive was a game that started bigger. It kind of shrunk down and became much smaller in scope, and ended up as a downloadable title. I think the future of this franchise is in question. I don't think they're gonna.
Wasn't that game in development for like 8 years?
It was in development for a long ass time. It was passed around, and it eventually was handed off to someone, a studio at Ubisoft, who finished it off, Shanghai, and then put it out on XBLA and PSN. So I don't think there's a future in this franchise, but I really wish there was, or hope there is, because
I don't necessarily, for me at least, I don't need it to necessarily be a future in that franchise per se, but I like what that franchise did. I like the situations they put you in, how they made their world.
Yeah,
I agree that it was a great IP, and I hope more games learn from that.
Yeah, I mean, as a genre, that game could actually be put in its own genre by itself. I mean,
definitely.
The way they handled survival and resource management is unlike any game I've really played before. So I'd love to see them expand upon it. But the thing is that they didn't tell you a lot about what happened in this world that caused it to happen, which was really interesting.
I like that. I mean, it's irrelevant.
But there's plenty of once again, this is a worldwide catastrophic event but the game takes place in one small area. So I don't know. They could expand it.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll wait. Boom,
baby.
So we'll see how that goes. Can I continue?
Yeah.
But my winner for best debut has got to be Dishonored. Like we said earlier, when I was talking about the universe, they created a fucking fantastic universe with really well thought out lore. That's one of those games that has books thrown about everywhere.
Keep going.
and sorry, I feel like he's doing the Travis thing. But there's books everywhere where you can read about the lore of the world. Stop laughing. Just go, Brad.
Well, I'm reading chat. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. But yeah, there's plenty of ways to take that universe in and learn about it outside of just playing the game. There's little things thrown about. They hint at so many things that I would have loved to see more of or learn more about, i.e. the whaling.
Yeah.
It was
really cool that you see one scene where they bringing in a whale on like a giant ship, and it's like hanging in between these two like anchors like on the ship.
Yeah.
They should make a sequel that's all about whaling.
I don't know.
You were a whale.
Be a whaling captain.
I don't know how some of the people in today's society would. I don't know if they'd appreciate that.
Yeah,
who cares?
But killing,
people are always pissed off at video games.
But killing people is fine.
No, they don't like that either. But I'm pretty sure the people who like animals are crazier than the people that like people.
Who likes people?
That is true. So yeah, Dishonored's got to be my best new IP.
Cool. My best new IP, the runner-up, was actually Dishonored. For same reasons that Nick said and same reasons I talked about when we were talking about our favorite world. I just want another game set in Dunwall. It looks awesome.
Cool.
I feel like I didn't see enough of it. I want to.
Is Dunwall the name of the city or the empire?
Dunwall's the name of the city. I don't remember what the name of the empire is.
Well, it's just
I would say Empire. Empire City.
Empire
Nation.
Set in the Empire. Anyway, my winner for best new IP, just because of how exciting the idea of a sequel would be, is Dragon's Dogma.
Nice.
Because fantastic. Like I said, when the game first came out, it had so many aspects that I wanted to see in other games, other different games, mashed into one wonderful action RPG, and I just want more. I can't wait to see new systems that they would add to it, how they would polish existing systems like the pawns and things like that. I just want more Dragon's Dogma.
My runner-up for best new IP is actually The Walking Dead. I mean, I had a lot of fun playing that game just because of how attached I became to it.
We were getting a sequel this fall.
Yep. So, so yeah, that's my runner-up. And my winner is actually Dragon's Dogma.
Oh, Dragon's Dogma.
Yeah, Dragon's Dogma. I agree with Chris. I mean, everything in this game, to an extent, I loved. I mean, even I had to go back and replay it to capture some footage, and I ended up playing it for a couple hours the other day. I finished the game. I fought some creatures I hadn't fought before, and I started a new game plus, and I'm probably going to keep going with the new game plus. Yeah. Wait, Beholder?
You giant floating eyeball creature?
Oh, yeah. I fought that a while ago.
You finished it last night, didn't you?
Yeah, I finally... Well, like, I was always... To fight the final boss, you just had to give this one character some items, and I had them, and I was just doing everything else before I finished.
Osmolio in chat over at 4pp.tv says, the only thing Capcom did right last year.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true.
I agree.
That's funny you bring up Dragon's Dogma.
Why is that funny, Brad?
Because it's your runner-up.
It's actually not my runner-up.
Oh.
It's my winner.
Oh.
So let me say my runner-up first. It seems like a strange category to me because when you say best new IP, you can kind of look at it as like, okay, what game came out this year that I like the most? That's not a sequel. But I try to approach it as what new game, what new experience did I have this year that I feel like could be built upon, and become something that's even better in its sequel. It's like the start of something new that I want to see so much more of. So, you know, like I love The Walking Dead or like Journey's pretty cool, and those are new things, but it's not like, I think those are fine as is. I don't have to see more of that. But like FTL is a game where I want to see that developer do so much more with it. You know, I want to see, like, can he make that in kind of like this open world thing where you're not constantly running from an enemy?
There's two guys that made the game.
Well, okay.
Thanks, no.
But you can hire some people.
You know what I mean? Like one of my favorite parts of that game is getting the achievements and unlocking the new ships because all the new ships play so different. Yeah, and all I want is give me new ships, give me new types of enemies to fight, give me new types of races that do new and different things. I feel like there can just be so much more to this game, and I fucking want it. You know, and I feel like you put out a sequel in a couple of years with like even better fucking really overhaul some of the graphics, and all of a sudden you have a lot more people paying attention to this game. It's a great start but I want to see more. That's sort of the basis of this category for me. So that makes my number one Dragon's Dogma, because there was so much fucking potential with this game, and it was rough around the edges. But if Capcom knows anything, it's how to make fucking sequels, and they're gonna make another Dragon's Dogma, and I'm hoping that they don't sort of fall into the Monster Hunter thing where the evolution is very sort of slight,
gradual,
gradual, iterative from sequel to sequel.
Put it only on handhelds.
Yeah, well, Jesus. Well, luckily, the Vita failed.
Don't even suggest that.
Luckily the Vita sort of bombed, and I don't really see Dragon's Dogma ending up on the 3DS. So I think they'll stick to consoles. I just, I want to see so much more because there's so much potential. Give me that next game where there's going to be co-op and there's going to be an even bigger world. Step up. Your game, and
I was surprised
throw a lot more budget into the story and the cutscenes and stuff.
I'm glad there wasn't co-op in this one because that gave them more time to focus on other elements. Now that they have certain things down, they can focus maybe on co-op.
I mean, I think it was a smart decision to hold it out.
System and
I think it was definitely a good idea to hold it out for this one. But
could you imagine because your pawns would cooperate 50% of the time. Yeah. Sometimes I'd be fighting an enemy and they're like, their kind is weak to fire. And I'm like, yeah, so fire affinity. Make my weapons on fire. And then they wouldn't. You can say, help. You're like literally doing this. You're just waving your arm and they don't do anything. And literally, as soon as the battle is over, they will cast that fire affinity on you. Fucking useless.
Yeah.
And so
that's the kind of shit that'll get evolved.
And that's why I'm excited for the possibility of co-op. There's a shield toss ability where
people who can actually respond to requests.
Exactly. So you have
someone
an ability
sitting next to you that you can hit.
Someone like a warrior or a fighter class can have a shield and they can put their shield up and you can jump on it and they'll throw you up in the air. Could you imagine if someone could just do that on command? Do you try and there's some dragon flying around and neither of y'all have maybe.
Then you end up arguing over who gets to be thrown onto the dragon
But anyways, it's a great start, and there's so much potential here, and that's why I think it's the best new IP.
Great job, Brad. It is a great game. But our next category,
didn't play it.
I know. We'll get to that.
Oh.
Best storytelling is our next category. So this can be, it's however you want to interpret it. Best storytelling. Few honorable mentions. Journey, because of the way it told a story with purely contextual. Mm-hmm. Allowing you to play with other people without even realizing it sometimes, which is really crazy. The Unfinished Swan, kind of weird, kind of a story, kind of a kooky, storybookish child book. Kooky. I don't know. Something about that game was just
got a lot of
wonderful.
Whimsical is the word you're looking.
But my runner-up, yeah, whimsical.
Why do you keep telling us to butt your runner? Running your butt.
Okay.
Just go, Nick.
My runner-up is Silent Hill Downpour. I'm a big fan of Silent Hill, and this is probably my second favorite story in the entire franchise. I think they handled it really well. Say what you want to say, Chris.
To be fair, a lot of the stories get really stupid late in the games. The ones usually revolving around cults. Pretty stupid towards the end.
So all two of them. There's only two you like? Silent Hill 1 and 3 were the only two that were tied together, and they have a lot to do with the cult thing.
Yes,
Silent Hill 2, fantastic story from beginning to end. Silent Hill 4, you like Silent Hill 4. It's one of your favorites, right?
Yeah, because it's so scary and the room stuff is cool. But yeah.
I like the way they kind of tied that game back into the franchise.
So this one's cool. It's more restrained.
More restrained. It has a lot more in common with Silent Hill 2 than any of the other franchises. And choosing to give make the main character a prison convict, kind of opens it up for. Thematically, that already fits really well.
Psychological.
Real quick, before you say your winner, I find it super weird that you have this game on your top 10 list, and so does fucking George and Jeff. Like if you look at the site as a whole, it's like our site fucking loves this game, but everyone else I hear and they just fucking hate it.
Well, that's that's our opinion.
Yeah. No, I understand, but I didn't expect so many opinions to have been that. I find it strange that both me and you love I Am Alive, because that's another game that just got fucking shit all over.
Oh, well, I'm hoping that's what people come to our site for, is because our opinions may be different from other people's.
No, I know. I'm just saying it's weird because all the videos uploaded so far have Silent Hill is one of the best games of the year.
Mine doesn't.
Yeah. I know yours is the only one. I'm just saying it's
Wait, is it on your list, Brad?
I didn't even play it.
Exactly.
But
perhaps you should play it.
But see, I didn't play it because everyone else was telling me it was dog shit.
Well, don't listen. This is our website. Listen to me.
Work's been a little long.
Listen to me, bitch.
That and I don't really like Silent Hill.
Anyways, last thing I'll say about Silent Hill is that it was finally found a home with a developer I like, which I didn't really expect. I thought this game was going to be janky as fuck, and I thought it was not going to feel very Silent Hillish, but I think they nail the atmosphere better than almost any other developer that's handled it since the original Silent Hill.
But your winner...
But my winner is The Walking Dead, for obvious reasons. I'll just reference the conversation we just had about characters.
Excellent.
And we'll move on.
Yep, sure.
Hooray. Cool. My runner-up for best storytelling was actually, and you might not like this one, Halo 4.
I didn't actually play much of Halo 4, so...
Okay. Well, but every time we talk about Halo 4, you just want to shit on it, so... So, you know.
Don't open up the can of worms. Don't open it up.
Continue.
Because Halo 4 story, like the campaign...
Why are you complaining about Halo?
Was the best written campaign, I feel, of any. That includes ODST, which was also a very what?
ODST is actually probably my favorite campaign, so I agree with you.
Let me just once again reference the relationship between Master Chief and Cortana was awesome.
Not to mention a lot of the other characters surrounding them in this one actually. Yeah.
They totally banged.
Totally.
Cool.
I mean, in his head. You know, because she's in his head.
Yep.
I told you, right? He shrank down. He was also a little blue hologram dude.
They jacked on.
That was
Futurama, jacking on.
It was a very nice new direction for this franchise to be taking, to be incorporating more of the wider Halo universe into their actual gameplay story. My winner was Walking Dead.
Oh, what do you know?
What about you, Nolan?
My runner-up for best storytelling was Dishonored. I really like how, the situation they put you in, you assassinated her, and you're like, no, I didn't, and then you get thrown in prison, and it's all, there's so much going on with this, this group who's trying to, rebel. They're trying to overthrow the current government, and they're getting you to help them out.
I'm trying to think of the word.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, so they don't like the government, and they're trying to take over and control it, and then without spoiling anything, some of the things that intertwine the story and stuff. There was also some good books. I read a few of them.
There were some good books in this game, and I read all of them.
There was way too many to read all of them. But and my winner is Walking Dead. I really enjoyed.
I thought you just said Dishonored was your winner.
No, that was my runner-up.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Walking Dead's doing really good.
It is.
It's going to win all the Academy Awards. Quick honorable mention. I was surprised by the story in Dust and Elysium Tale. It's actually really well done. A lot of people were worried it was going to be like a furry type game.
I could give that one of my honorable mentions. Yeah,
but it's actually more of like a sort of
like
a
well animated.
I didn't like
the ending. The ending was kind of poopy.
I was all right with the ending.
Really?
It was a little melodramatic.
It was like it's one of those.
Oh wait!
Okay.
Honorable mention. My actual runner-up is Journey. Nice. I feel like they told a really interesting story. Like it was subtle. Like most of it was visual. But I think part of that story was taking that journey with another player, and that like innovative mechanic actually fed into telling this story. Like seamlessly. It was like super.
One of the best things they did about that, because like you're saying, I didn't realize I was playing with somebody, is I also didn't realize that through the game, people switched in and out.
Yeah.
Like you didn't play with the same person the whole time. Like all of a sudden, maybe that person signed off, someone who was in the same area as you signed in, and you played. And I really like how they did that seamlessly.
But that moment, it happened to a lot of people where you just come off that awesome slide down the mountain. I totally lost the guy I was with, and at that point, I still thought it was all one dude. I believe. And that is like this really sad moment in the story that's completely fueled like from that co-op mechanic. Like I lost him physically in the world, and that created like a really sad moment in my story.
Like when you're
amazing
when you're climbing up the mountain and your guy goes down and you run over to help him. And you're like, no, like you don't even know who this person is, but you're like, I have to save him.
Where they collapse?
Yeah. No, like if you can get hurt and like if you lose all your like your.
I thought there was a
scarf.
Oh yeah, okay.
But don't lose too much scarf.
My favorite story.
No, it's funny when they log out. Like if they log out in the middle of a game, their character just like collapses in the sand and like face plants.
I haven't seen that happen.
like it's just like they just fall over and die of exhaustion. It's pretty awesome.
It's like the Matrix.
But you'll have one of those moments where you're like, no.
My favorite story is Tokyo Jungle. No, I'm just kidding. It's The Walking Dead. I always say a story's only as good as its characters, and these are some of the best characters ever.
Once again, reference the conversation we just had about characters.
I mean, that game is definitely not perfect. Did you see the size of that fucking quarter in that game? It was ridiculous.
He can't stop talking about
it. Was the size of a dollar coin. It was ridiculous.
Just to wrap up the story conversation, I would like to say that I'm usually really hard on video game stories, and over the years, I usually say, well, I don't really care about the story. I'm playing it for the game. But there's few exceptions that like really stand out, and I think one of the reasons, like say Dragon Age Origins ended up being my favorite game of the year, because you have a lot of like say in that story in like in an interesting way, not in kind of like a binary Mass Effect way. And I feel like, or like, you know, Alpha Protocol as well, or Heavy Rain. And I feel like this is sort of like an evolution of what Heavy Rain was doing, where you're making
Walking Dead is?
Where you're making these really intense decisions, and you're just going to sort of accept whatever happens, whether it could have really been all that different or not. It doesn't matter, but because the exciting moment was in the, you know, when you were making that really tense decision in the first place. You know, the stakes were super high, and it was great. That's the story. It's amazing.
Yeah.
All right. Our next category is going to be most innovative developer. I'm going to try to keep this brief.
Yeah, everybody, let's keep this one brief.
My runner-up is Telltale.
For The Walking Dead.
For The Walking Dead. Primarily because of the way they implemented.
They took a big risk with this game.
They took a really big risk with the way they developed this game and delivered this game, and that's where I think they were the most innovative. In that, like before now, I wasn't fully on board for the idea of downloadable episodic content, but the way they handled the delivery of this game, like this game effectively started coming out in like January, February of 2012. And I didn't finish it until December of 2012.
So the only problem I have with the episodic content is episode 1 was kind of, I don't want to say it was poopy, but it definitely was not the best. Like after I finished the episode, I was like, eh? But then
see, I wasn't, but I'll talk about that later.
Okay, but like 15 minutes into 2, I was like, yes, let's keep going. This is awesome. Like I really think they should have extended episode 1 a little longer or done a little more, because in episode 1 you don't really know too much about the characters. You don't interact with them too much. There's some, but there's not enough in my opinion. And 2, I think, is where that game just takes off, and it never really, I mean, in 3 kind of a little dip, but it never really loses its stamina, and it keeps going. And I think that's one of the unfortunate things about the episodic content, is maybe some people
fall off the boat before it's good.
They fall off the boat on literally the worst episode out of the 5. And so it sucks that that's the case.
But at the same time, they sold, what was it, like 8 million episodes total at $5 a piece.
Yeah, that's what really kept.
And then not only that, I liked the game so much that when it came out on like a retail disc, I went and bought it again. And I can't even imagine, there's probably plenty of people that did the exact same thing. Like
there's probably like 3 people.
They did some really awesome stuff that I think is going to just catapult them forward as developers.
What's your most innovative?
My most innovative is that game company, for the things that we talked about as far as Journey.
How about we mention the games? Not everybody knows developers.
Yeah, that game company developed Journey, and as far as innovation goes, like as a multiplayer experience that you don't even realize is multiplayer. Like it's a multiplayer experience that is effectively still a single player experience. Like that game, you're playing by yourself. You don't have to have anybody with you, and sometimes you don't even know somebody's with you. But then you just kind of randomly come across people, and you can't communicate in any really effective way. There's not a whole lot of, there's not really any tutorial, right? That game.
There's nothing.
It just starts,
nothing at all,
and you just kind of learn the mechanics.
It doesn't even tell you the game starts.
Exactly.
Like it's just, oh wait, I'm controlling.
Yeah. So there's no instruction at all. They just kind of let you free into this world, and everything you do in that game is learned. You just kind of learn it as you go, and the people you meet.
It's a journey.
I
mean, I think they picked a perfect title for this game. Journey sums up everything, and it's
if we had a category for best title, I would give it to Journey.
Yeah.
But we don't. So Chris,
alrighty. My runner-up for most innovative developer was actually that game company for Journey, for the same reasons pretty much you just mentioned.
All right.
My
winner?
God, why can't I think of words? My winner for most innovative developer, and this one kind of, I had to kind of suck it up and just go ahead and give it to Capcom. I don't like Capcom.
Yeah,
I don't like Capcom, but I gave it to them for Dragon's Dogma.
So they did good, They did good.
Okay. So
this
the actual execution of some of these ideas were a little shaky, but the actual like ideas behind like the pawn system, like
the Uber Dragon, or
like,
what was it? The U-Dragon?
Ur-Dragon?
Yeah, like those are just really cool and engaging ideas.
No, I agree.
Like, I mean that.
I think they probably. I don't know all the backstory of this game, of the team who worked on it. They had to have hired somebody new.
It's an internal development team. It's just one of their internal studios.
This is a big.
But it had talent.
Yeah.
It had talent, or like
it was a giant fucking team. I think the director was a Devil May Cry.
Yeah, the director was the original Devil May Cry.
Well, no, that's Kamiya. He's the dude who took over after.
So this is Devil May Cry 3 guy?
2, 3, 4 guy.
Okay,
it's all the same guy.
And I mean, just the thought and the care that went into developing these concepts for this game, like that's most of the reason why I kept playing it, why I've spent so many hours on Dragon's Dogma. You know, Journey was a really good, innovative, very artistic piece, but I mean, you know, you finish it in a couple hours and you've got it. You're done. Yeah. You know, I don't know, man. Like Dragon's Dogma really sunk its teeth into me.
Say what you will about Resident Evil 6, though.
Hey, okay,
no,
you don't need to.
I agree.
He's
my most innovative developer runner-up is.
I gotta be honest. I thought he was going to say 343.
Okay, hold on. My most innovative developer, the runner-up, is Darkworks / Ubisoft Shanghai. I got to give it to Darkworks because they were the one that originally came up with the idea for I'm Alive, but then they weren't able to execute. I don't know all the reasons, and Ubisoft Shanghai took over. So I mean, I have to give it to both. But I think they did some really interesting things because this game,
combat-wise too.
I mean, the combat system, the interacting with other people in the game. You know, random people who weren't trying to hurt you would freak out when you showed up. You know, Brad tried to hold up a guy and then he crushed a soda he was trying to get from him.
That was such an emergent moment.
Wait, what happened?
I fucking killed a random dude because I needed his soda so bad, and I walked up to him and I stabbed him and he fell over and he crushed his soda. And I didn't get the soda.
That can
happen. So horrible.
That can happen?
Yeah. Well, it did.
And I am alive.
So horrible. There's a clip of it.
Yeah, there is.
He crushed his soda.
He fell on top of it, and Brad was no longer able to get to it.
But it happened though. Yeah. I felt terrible.
So that's my runner-up, and the winner is Telltale Games. I mean, I think they did a lot of good things for the gaming industry. I mean, I haven't seen a story like this in a game in a long time, if ever. So I think the innovation was definitely there.
It's hard to overlook that.
Okay, well, I thought about Telltale. The only reason I didn't give it to them is because they've been doing these episodic games for forever, and you know, they did do some interesting things with Walking Dead. But my runner-up was actually also the Dragon's Dogma team, and he started mentioning it. But the stuff they do with AI and the pawn system is actually, it's rough around the edges, but it's super forward thinking. Mm-hmm. Like, I always felt it as sort of this evolution of a lot of the innovations in Dark Souls and Demon Souls, where players can leave information about the world to help out other players in their single player experience. But the ability to send your pawns off with other players, and as they play their game, they're taking your pawns into parts of the world you haven't been before. When you get them back, like, all of a sudden they have knowledge and they're telling you about the world around you. Like, oh, there's something over this edge, like a treasure. You should go look, or be careful, there's an ambush up ahead. And it's rough around the edges, obviously, but like, that's super forward thinking. It's an evolution of AI.
I would say it's jagged around the edges.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but that idea.
But you know, this is innovation. It's not
it gives it such an interesting, it gives it such a personal touch to it too. It's like you were saying, comparing it to the Demon Souls, Dark Souls, where people can write messages and shit like that. Yeah. This would be more like if, you know, like almost if you had a child and like dropped it off at school one day and it came home that night and was like talking about all this stuff it learned. It's like, oh my god, and planets and atoms and things like this, and you're like, wow, you're kind of your own entity. Like, we don't share the same amount of knowledge, do we? Like that's such a cool idea.
It ties into the way
you just blew my mind, sir.
it ties into the way that they cast our abilities and stuff too.
It's not just an extension of you. It's not like it's not like a traditional party.
Character.
It's like that's another character that's with you.
Yeah. And I think it says something that like most of the world is inhabited by people's pawns, just sort of like hanging out.
That's cool that random people literally playing the game, you can find their pawn. And like I said, it's dragged around the edges because sometimes a pawn will be like, "What is this?" and they'll pick up a skull. skull. And I mean, like, that's a skull. That's gross. Put it down.
But that's cool that they go over and like bash stuff and open chests. Like we're talking about innovation, not like refinement. This is actually forward thinking.
I agree.
Speaking of forward thinking,
it does very well sometimes. Okay. Hold on, real quick. Like you'll be, battling some creatures, and then yes, they'll go and start picking up some of the loot. But then all of a sudden, they'll start just fucking mining a crag. They'll just start like picking at a rock and getting gold ores out of it. And I'm like, all right, let's go.
But it's cool.
Yeah.
But I'm surprised this didn't pop up because I actually think the most innovative studio this year is Double Fine Productions. They started out this year by doing something like pretty like different on Kickstarter, where it's an established studio trying to like basically they kickstarted this crowdfunding movement for larger studios, and now you're seeing.
Everyone's doing it.
Yeah, everyone's doing it.
Much more mainstream.
But it's not just the stuff they did with Kickstarter. Later in the year, I mean, they've always been kind of an innovative developer because they did this Amnesia Fortnite. But this year, they actually decided to sort of they did the Humble Bundle thing and let sort of people like become a part of that process, and actually being able to try out the games that were developed like right away as soon as they were finished. But also they live streamed like the design and development of all of these games, and you can go and watch these fucking game designers working on these projects. It was super forward thinking and innovative, and I think you're going to see a lot more developers taking this you can see everything process to game design. It's super impressive.
Cool.
So, Double Fine.
Yeah.
So our last category of this segment is going to be best original soundtrack. This is not technically including licensed tracks. So
Wait, really?
That's for the best.
Because
you were going to say Skrillex, or
I'll give you some leeway. It's not a big deal. I think one of mine kind of teeters on the edge of.
One of the best soundtracks of the year is actually a lot of licensed music. Most people don't realize it, but it is.
Well, one of mine is kind of teetering on the edge, I think.
All right, well, let's just go.
Okay. All right, well, my runner-up, this is the one that's teetering, for best soundtrack of 2012, goes to Luminez Electronic Symphony. Holy shit.
Licensed, but all right.
Yeah, I mean, it's like remixes of like it's like remixes of
well, a lot
existing
of it's
songs.
Covers. But a lot of it's also, Mizuguchi's band.
Mm-hmm.
I think they did some of the music.
Anamanaguchi?
The soundtrack is fucking phenomenal, and like it's part of the reason why I was completely addicted to that game. And if I pick that game up again, I'll be addicted to it.
And what's your winner, bro?
Then you should just lend it to me.
My winner is going to go to Silent Hill Downpour.
Really?
Yes.
I guess
he just likes it because it's from the guy that does the music for Dex.
Yeah, okay, whatever. That's the only reason I like it.
Oh, speaking of,
it's Daniel Licht. This is the first Silent Hill soundtrack not featuring Akira Yamaoka, which I was really concerned about. But Daniel Licht does this genre or this style of music really fucking well, and he nails it.
Akira Yamaoka did the music for Cinemora, I believe.
I think that sounds right.
Because it was a Grasshopper game, and I think he helped with the music.
Chris,
wouldn't surprise me.
Cool. My runner-up for best original soundtrack went to. I didn't find who did it, but Spelunky. Mm-hmm. I love the music in Spelunky. Oh god,
it is. Really
it just
good.
Gets in your head and stays there and doesn't leave. I love it.
No, I agree.
So great.
I like.
It's not like it's not epic or
it's not a symphony
or anything.
It's pretty simple music, but I like that each area has their own theme. But every once in a while, in between levels, they'll kind of switch out to a different song. And
when I die and like restart, sometimes a certain track will come on and be like, "Ooh, I like this one."
Yeah,
like that one's really good. But my favorite original soundtrack this year, I'm gonna give it to Mass Effect 3. That was done by Sacha Dikisian and Chris Velasco. Particularly, I know, whatever, man.
Well, no, I've actually had one of the composers on that soundtrack yell at me for bad-mouthing it. So
really,
yes,
okay. Particularly for the Leaving Earth track in the beginning of the game, after you go through that little opening segment with Anderson, and you're getting on the Normandy. And you're leaving, and that's when the Reapers are first showing up on Earth.
Yeah.
And it's just this beautiful, like, solo piano score, and they cut it in with, like, those really loud, obnoxious, like, rah, like the Reaper sounds. Like, that was actually, like, that was one of the few, well, not one of the few, but that was definitely one of the biggest moments in gaming this last year that have stuck out specifically because of the music driving.
Okay.
Like, that was...
I mean, I've always liked Mass Effect soundtrack in general.
That's pretty good.
My flaming of the soundtrack has more to do with the deviation from
anyway,
how awesome it was in the first game.
My runner-up for best original soundtrack goes to Assassin's Creed 3. It was done by Lauren Balfe, Balfe. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. I did some research into it. Apparently, he's only 36. He's pretty young, and he's won a Grammy or two.
He's no Jesper Kid.
Correct.
Who usually does the Assassin's Creed.
And so that's what I was going to say. He's actually worked on all the games since 2 with him. And so he's worked on all the games with him, and this is his first game where he did the entire. He took over.
If we're lucky, Brad, he wasn't working on Assassin's Creed 3 because Jesper Kid was busy doing the soundtrack for Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Yeah.
Well, no, he actually did the soundtrack for Darksiders 2, and Darksiders 2 had fucking amazing music.
So back to me. So I thought just the Assassin's Creed 3 theme song, the actual theme, like the da-na-na, like that whole thing. That
The thing is, I would probably put that on my list. I just can't remember the music.
It's fucking amazing. Go back and listen to it. And I really love how he incorporates that into a lot of different songs. There's a specific tune, a melody, and he brings it back into other songs. I listened to the entire soundtrack today, and it's a really good soundtrack.
You have the soundtrack?
It's on YouTube.
Can you sing a little bit of it now?
No.
Okay. What's your number one?
And my number one, my winner for best original soundtrack goes to FTL. It was done by a guy named Ben Prunty, a single guy out of California. He does music by himself. Great songs. I mean, at every world there's every single different race in the game. You can come into contact with a how do they refer to them as? Sector. Like an NG controlled sector. So if there's like a mantis, it'll be like a mantis controlled sector or a rockman controlled sector. But then they also have home worlds, and it just for every section you're in, you have just a general exploring the world music, and then you have a battle music.
Yeah. It's like Shadow of the Colossus.
Yeah, and some of the battle themes are fucking awesome. Like the Rockman theme is amazing.
I hate going last now. I don't know why I made that decision, because FTL soundtrack is my fucking winner too. That shit, like more than any other soundtrack, I was like fucking like pumping, man, as I was playing that little simulation game.
You better
Even
mention
those moments like when you're at the end of one sector and you jump to the next sector.
The fucking Rock World
if
theme.
You're all like you just got out of like a big battle. You're all your ship's in disrepair. You're kind of afraid you're about to die. You jump into this new sector, and most of them just start with you like in a starfield, right?
Yeah.
But then the music comes in right after that little opening message about the sector you're in, and that kind of just like gives that new space, this new feeling.
This is for us to listen to. At about 30 seconds in, it really fucking picks up, and the victims are great. Yeah,
so good.
Is this gonna come across on the audio?
But this is for us.
Yeah, it's for us.
Man the shield.
We can probably hear a little bit of. Just wait. Okay, wait. We gotta talk.
Yeah.
That was the.
It's hard to hear. It's much better when you're playing the game.
Oh god. So yeah, it's this little simulation game with shitty graphics, but the music does such a good job of making you feel like you're in fucking space, like you're exploring a vast universe and coming across all these like different like colony worlds. It's so fucking.
I really hope your runner-up is another game that I would like to have mentioned, but I didn't play.
Okay, well, so my runner, I didn't put Hotline Miami, maybe the best soundtrack of the year on here because that's all licensed music.
Yeah.
Oh, it is. I didn't think about that.
Or like 90% of it is at least.
Yeah.
But man, that. The music in Hotline Miami is so key to like creating that fucking
vibe of the world.
The game was often compared to Drive.
Yes,
which that's another fucking like that's a movie where the same kind of vibe was sort of defined by its music. Mm-hmm. And oh man, it's so good. But real quick, runner-ups are Xenoblade, which has amazing fucking music, and Sound Shapes.
Yes, Sound Shapes
also has a fan-fucking-tastic soundtrack, and of course Journey. I don't know why nobody said Journey, but that Austin Wintory soundtrack is fucking amazing.
He won a Grammy for it, I think, didn't he?
I think so. Or he got nominated.
Yeah, he got nominated.
Definitely. So we're gonna take another quick break. When we come back,
let's do this next section in one go.
All right.
How about next time around we start with me and we go around that way, so I'm not all last again.
Fine. That can be last.
All right. No, damn it. No, I don't like this idea. When we come back, we will start with best downloadable game, and we'll try and Fuck it. We'll just try and get through the last of the
It'll
categories.
speed up because what we're going to realize is that we've already talked about a bunch of these games.
Are going to be. Yeah.
That's actually one of the main reasons I wanted to remove the top 10 because in previous years we talked so long about these games that when we finally got to the top 10 we were just like, this game we talked a bunch about it. Skyrim, whatever. You know it's cool.
Okay. All right. So don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be back in a moment. Here we go. Last segment. We're going to try and get through our last categories right now. So keep that in mind as you're talking about your awards.
I'm ready.
So we're going to start with best downloadable game. We're going to go the opposite direction per Brad's request.
Whoa!
This time, Brad, why don't you start us off with best downloadable title?
It's funny that I'm going first now because I was going to use the excuse of like, well, everybody else mentioned it. But I'm trying to keep certain games off this list because I want to use this opportunity to mention sort of games that.
No, I thought about what you're about to say too, but I was like, I can't keep it off.
Walking Dead isn't really a downloadable game.
But it is.
I mean, how do you define a download? Every fucking game is downloadable. I downloaded Far Cry 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing is, The Walking Dead wasn't available as a retail title until
How
after
about games less than $15?
Okay. Well,
good point. Let's go.
All right, then I'll edit my list. Done.
All right.
Done.
Done. I have an honorable mention. I'll just move that up.
All right. The Brett?
Okay, I'm out of order.
Here we are.
Runner-up is, or honorable mention is Spelunky.
Nice.
Love that fucking game.
It's amazing. Dude, I ended up playing it for I was going to play for an hour yesterday, and Crispy and I ended up playing for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Just
I was like you were like, oh, I'm broadcasting till 12, and we're playing Spelunky, and I look over, and it's 1:15. I'm
yeah.
Like, oh, okay.
Son of a bitch. Great game.
My honorable mention is Dust and Elysium Tale, just because the one that was actually probably above that is probably going to be mentioned somewhere else here. But my winner is FTL.
Nice.
I think you can get that game for $10.
Yep, $10.
And it's fucking amazing.
It's more well worth the $10.
I could play that game forever.
So could I.
And I'll probably have to get that fucking crystal ship.
Oh my god, I want the crystal ship so bad.
All right, Nolan.
No one go.
Okay, so I guess I'll give honorable mention to Dust as well. My runner-up is Journey, and then my winner is Spelunky. I mean, I love the shit out of Spelunky, and it infuriates me sometimes. But even though
it infuriates him how much he loves.
Like I said, I have played that game yesterday before I started 754 times. I had never won. 754 deaths, and then I played for a couple hours yesterday, and I'll go another 754 even if I don't win. I love that game.
It's so soul crushing. I'm curious how many deaths I have, but it's nowhere near that.
When did Techno Kitten Adventure come out?
2 years ago.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Techno Kitten. Okay, I would like to make an honorable mention of Spelunky as well. Because it's awesome. Yep. My runner-up is going to be for Mark of the Ninja.
Nice.
And
very nice. Very nice.
My winner is also going to be FTL.
Nice.
Very nice. Wow, we're just cranking through this category.
I told you it's going to happen.
Let's do it.
All right. My honorable mention is going to be The Unfinished Swan.
Good.
Really great game.
Yeah, I played that too.
Played that in one sitting. I was in kind of a bad mood when I started. I finished that game happy. Very, very cool experience. It's an artistic game, but
they should
fun.
change the title when you're done to The Finished Swan.
But it's not quite finished.
Just cross out the
my runner-up is going to be Mark of the Ninja. Mm-hmm. The game is awesome.
That's a game I didn't put on my list because I knew y'all would mention it.
Yeah, it's hard to not mention that game. It just does some really awesome things with design.
I didn't expect that from Clay.
Oh,
no, I didn't either.
No, of course.
I was like,
not this is the same
at all.
This is the same developer that did Shank. What the fuck?
I said it on my top 10 and stuff, but I love the fact that the ending, you have a choice and it doesn't tell you if you're right or wrong.
Yeah.
It's just you chose to do this.
Live with it.
Yeah.
And my winner is going to go to I Am Alive. Just because
that's a fucking downloadable game too.
Yep. And
but it didn't start out as one.
Didn't start out as one, but that's how it ended up. And you can tell it was scaled back from what it originally started as. Yeah. And they had to make some cuts here and there to kind of make it scale down to that new scope and that new price for the game. But from a creative standpoint, fucking awesome. No other game really does survival quite like that game, and I hope someone takes note of this game and kind of implements it. I keep thinking about this game in comparison to The Last of Us, and I'm hoping that some of these elements find their way into that game because they look like they share a little bit in common.
Oh, Keys, what's next?
Our next category is best multiplayer experience. You want to start us off with that one, Brad? I can tell you what your winner is.
Can you?
Well, maybe he can.
His? I think I know what his is.
Well, this is...
Does it have to do with ice cream trucks?
Damn you.
I also think I know what his runner-up is.
Wait, actually, that's not going to be my winner.
No, you can't change that shit because he guessed it.
Okay, I'm going to say honorable mention because I'm probably not...
what his runner is.
I'm going to say... as honorable mention, I'm probably not going to name this anywhere else in the show, but I swear to God, you're not actually going to get it. I swear to God, like more people should have played this game because it's a hell of a lot of fun. It's probably the best co-op game of the year. That's why I think it deserves here. And that's Orcs Must Die 2.
Oh.
Like, more people need to have played that game. It's really fun.
I just haven't played it
I played a shit ton with Vunic, and it's incredible. I'm gonna say Journey also as a runner-up.
Damn you!
Not a traditional multiplayer game, but they did a lot of really innovative things with
That's my
multiplayer.
runner-up too, by the way. Let's get that out of the way.
My runner-up is Twisted Metal. Now,
fuck you!
The reason it's not my winner is actually because it might be higher on my list than my actual winner, but as
but you
like,
can't.
But it's not your winner.
Well, okay, maybe it kind of is.
Just spit it out, Brad. We're trying to go faster.
I'll say my winner is because it was kind of a surprise for me. I didn't expect to really get into it, but Planet Side 2.
You wrote it before you said it. You wrote something else.
That was amazing.
I told you I knew what it was.
And Nolan's celebration.
I thought you might have said Chivalry, which was another honorable mention for me. But Planet Side 2 surprised me in a lot of ways. I don't think I've ever played I don't play a lot of MMO. I don't ever play MMOs because I'm terrified of getting addicted to them. And Planet Side is actually an MMO. I mean, there's thousands of players like in this giant battle, and it really surprised me just the scale and the scope of I'm this one little dude, and like what can I do? Because I can try to maybe take this these small group of guys and go take this little area, but this war is going to be going back and forth forever, and it's kind of exhausting after a long session of Planet Side 2 of God damn, what have we really fucking achieved? But just that moment where you clear out an area and you're like, all right, I think we killed them. Let's go find a new area. You open up the map. I always kind of like to play the commander guide, telling people where to go, just because I don't know.
That's weird.
That's sort of my attitude in this type of game, because I don't know. I'm not as good just sort of shooting dudes, but I feel like I'm more strategic minded. So I don't know. Maybe because I'm Brad, they listen to me or whatever. But it was so fun just to pick that next area, and then all of a sudden just a huge convoy of flying vehicles and tanks and APCs are just moving across this huge expanse, and you just feel so fucking powerful, come up on us, bitch. It's so satisfying.
Speaking of powerful, Nolan.
So my honorable mention is going to go to Chivalry. I thought it was a great game. They handled combat really well. Good multiplayer experience.
We didn't bring it up in the most innovative, but that screen button, one of the most innovative things this year.
My runner-up is actually Planet Side 2. I agree with everything Brad said. I mean, it's just a vast, huge world. I mean, the first time I was playing it, and nobody could afford a dropship, but we needed one. And I was like, I have the money, but the thing is, you are the only one that can fly your ship. And so I have this fucking dropship with 12 people in it, and I'm flying everybody to our destination. I feel like I'm responsible for these people. And I'm like, oh God, I have no weapons. I'm like, whoever's mounting these guns, make sure you do well. And, just trying to...
Don't fuck it up.
Exactly. And it's just... I agree with... I mean, it's so much fun working with not 5 or 6 people on a team. You have 50 people on your team trying to take over, and so it's a lot of fun. And my winner for best multiplayer experience of 2012 is Gotham City Imposters.
Oh wow!
Yes,
okay. That game was good.
I
forgot that came out this year.
It did. It came out at the very beginning of the year, and I had so much fun. I was in school at the time, and I really had to focus on school. And sometimes I would come home and I would play Gotham City Imposters instead of doing any schoolwork, because I just love the interactions in that game. It was so much quirkier than most multiplayer first-person shooters.
But it controlled just as well.
Oh, it controlled beautifully, and then instead of just like running around the map, you have all these different traversal abilities. Hook shots and capes and like roller skates that you would fly off of ramps and bouncing shoes and all different crazy sorts of weapons.
The glide wings.
Yeah, the glide wings. It was a fantastic multiplayer game, and I had a lot of fun.
I forgot I had that for free.
Surprised you didn't bring up Spelunky as an honorable mention. It's kind of chaotic,
yeah,
but it's still fun.
We played the multiplayer for a little while last night, and it gets fucking crazy.
Especially when you have 99
Especially because I
bombs.
put on 99 lives and no bombs and no ropes usually, but then last night I put on 99 bombs. It's just bombs flying everywhere. It can be fun.
All
right. So for best multiplayer experience, my honorable mention is going to be Gotham City Imposters because I did like that game. Particularly, the reason why I kind of have a place in my heart for it is because I remember reading the Imposter War story arc from Detective Comics before that game came out and thinking like, oh, this is an awesome idea. I want to see more of this. And then not long after that, they announced Gotham City Imposters, and I'm like, no fucking way. I was just like ready for that. It was awesome. My runner-up is going to be for Tribes Ascend.
Yeah,
Tribes is always. I've always really enjoyed the Tribes series. I feel like Vengeance was pretty good, but it kind of was a step back for the series. I feel like Ascend is getting a bit more towards like the original Tribes, like Tribes Star Siege and Tribes 2, and it's just so much fun. Like it is kind of addictive. But my favorite multiplayer experience of the year is for Assassin's Creed 3 multiplayer.
I knew that was going to come up.
Because I still maintain, and Nolan and I have talked a lot about it.
We have.
Especially about some of the more recent pitfalls
developments, as we call them.
Of the system.
Literal
and
pitfalls, Trap.
I will say, I have gone back and played a lot of Assassinate games since then, and the problems that we talked about aren't really as common as I think maybe they were. So I'm still finding good games, good players, things like that. But there's just, say what you will about it mechanically, about the game as a whole. The idea behind that multiplayer,
I think the idea behind it's good.
I think the execution is still pretty damn solid.
I think the execution is solid. It just depends on the player.
All right.
All
right.
Okay.
Come on.
Without getting into too much
poison's
of the debate,
overpowered.
This is definitely a multiplayer that I have been thinking about a lot, that I've been talking about a lot. I mean, it's just it is the thinking man's multiplayer. Like it's not. I love that idea that
Spy Party is the thinking man.
Well, that would be an extension of the same kind of concepts. That would be kind of like the end of that spectrum. But this, just the whole way that the scoring system is built around quality of kills over quantity.
Yep.
I just love that.
That's a brilliant concept.
It's a real shame that we're not talking about Hitman multiplayer because they didn't do it.
Yep.
Right. So good.
So my I'm going to do an honorable mention now of Gotham City Imposters because I forgot that game came out this year, to be honest, but that game is great.
That's why I maintain a list.
I mean, I have a list. The thing is, I didn't
look at it.
No idea. It's a multiplayer only game, so I don't think I put it on my list for some stupid reason.
That's a bad list.
I know. I'll fix that next year. Whatever. My runner up is going to be Journey.
Nice.
Just because it's an atypical multiplayer experience and really innovative. But my winner, Halo 4.
Really? You played a bunch of that multiplayer?
For me, as far as multiplayer goes, I spent more time this year playing that than any other game multiplayer-wise. Now, granted, I didn't spend a lot of time playing any multiplayer game this year.
Did you do, were you doing mainly just like the competitive multiplayer, or were you also doing
I think I did a few
Spartan Ops?
No, I didn't do any Spartan Ops. The thing is, there was two games in particular this year that I wanted to play co-op in that I didn't get around to. One was the Spartan Ops for Halo 4, the other one was Far Cry 3.
Well, I think just Spartan Ops alone kind of deserves a mention just because of that idea.
Yes.
And it has co-op.
And
but
co-op.
The thing about the co-op in Far Cry 3 co-op...
I didn't see the button for that.
Far Cry 3 co-op is a separate story with separate characters on an entirely different island that didn't even take place in the campaign.
I just don't see the point. I mean, Far Cry... I
mean, it's co-op.
It doesn't even need multiplayer.
That's co-op.
It's there,
I mean, it has
apparently
deathmatch, but...
No, I'm talking about specifically the deathmatch stuff.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the mechanics are already there. Why not just throw it on? I guess
Like Binary Domain actually had multiplayer.
Yeah,
I think Never Dead had multiplayer.
Are you serious?
Yeah, like deathmatch multiplayer.
Wow. Nice.
But,
All right.
Bob played that game. So our next category is going to be biggest surprise of the year. Surprise! That's pretty self-explanatory.
Brad, go.
Brad, what was your biggest surprise of the year?
My runner-up for biggest surprise is actually I Am Alive. I really wasn't expecting much out of that game. It looked super janky when they finally started showing it, but it ended up being, one of my favorite experiences of the year. Just, the way that game captures, that desperation, like that sense of survival, because resources are tied into everything that you do, be it, combat with one bullet, or, do you have enough like water to restore your stamina to be able to, climb up the side of this building. It's super interesting. It always makes you feel desperate. And I think that's what a post-apocalyptic setting game needs to do.
God, I really hope The Last of Us creates that sense of desperation.
But see, I have a feeling that I'm worried that Last of Us is not going to get it quite right. It's going to go more into uncharted territory. I think that sense of desperation can't just be told in story. It has to be told in mechanics.
Yeah,
and I feel like I Am Alive does that. But my winner is actually The Walking Dead. The reason this is a surprise for me is because, one, I fucking hate point-and-click adventure games. And I realize that this is more of kind of like a Heavy Rain type game, but this is coming from Telltale. And I swear to God, I wouldn't touch a Telltale game with a 10-foot pole. You could never make me go back to play any of their previous games because, one, I think they're just not as good as, the franchises they get a hold of, like Monkey Island and Sam & Max. They're just trying to live up to like the previous games, and they're not doing it nowhere near as good. And two, I just hate that fucking genre. I just can't stand it.
You know what's really cool to think about, though, is considering the success of The Walking Dead, I think people are going to be throwing franchises at the studio. Like, here, make a game based on our franchise.
See, I'm so scared. I don't know if they can do that.
That's probably not a good thing. I feel like only specific kind of stories benefit from that sort of
thing.
Well, hopefully,
like if they make another traditional point-and-click adventure game, I'm not going to be interested in that.
No, I'm just saying.
You have to make a very specific type of game with these same writers.
No, what you're saying is true. I wrote an article about that, so yeah, I would.
Really?
Yes. I wrote an article saying that I hope the next Telltale game is a Dexter game.
I missed that one.
I think that is the only studio and the only genre of game that can make a video game based on Dexter.
I don't think you can make a game based on Dexter. It's too fucked up.
I agree. So,
my point is, I was going to say, is they might throw IPs at the studio, but hopefully the studio has the ability to sort through those and say which ones would be good ideas to actually attempt. Because not all of them need to have...
Breaking Bad game?
So, my runner-up for biggest surprise in 2012 is Dust: An Elysium Tale.
Oh, yeah.
I did not expect much when I first saw that game, and I heard Brad talking about it, and I was still kind of iffy about it.
I was iffy, too, until I started playing.
And then, once again, as soon as I started playing, I was straight up addicted to that game, and I played the shit out of it. I collected every collectible. I got every item. I love that game. And... biggest surprise, which I don't think anyone here could even remotely try and guess because it was such a surprise to me on a system I didn't think I was going to be playing on, was Nintendo Land.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I forgot you even have a fucking
That game is a shit ton of fun. Like, you have no idea. And I've only played it once, but what I played...
They did play it for a few hours.
Oh, we played it a lot. Crispy and I just sat there just playing games back and forth. And I was shocked because I especially out of Nintendo Land, I thought that was going to be a piece of shit. I really did. And then it really surprised me, and it shows what the Wii can do, or Wii U can do, and now I know what it's not going to do, because I'm sure it's going to fall horribly on its ass.
It's possible. Crispy?
I still think you fucked up bad by not trying Zombie U this year.
I didn't have time. Sorry, bro. Crispy?
Okay, so my runner-up for biggest surprise is going to be Walking Dead as well. I think it's pretty well documented, especially on the podcast, that I was very tentative at first about getting going, and I kind of drug my feet about playing it. Drug.
No one drugged you.
Did you put drugs in your feet?
Draga did.
I drugged my feet.
And your winner?
Dragged my feet. And my winner was Mark of the Ninja. I thought it was just going to be another stupid side-scrolling beat 'em up.
As in, you thought it was a clay game.
I thought it was a clay game. And
I just want to say, I played that demo a long time ago, and I tried to tell everybody I was at that show, and they need to go and try the demo. It's pretty fucking cool.
I wasn't at that show.
Oh.
And I ignored you.
Just like everyone else.
I know.
Good job, Brad.
So, my runner-up for biggest surprise is actually honorable mention The Walking Dead. Runner-up, though, is I Am Alive, for the same reasons Brad had mentioned before. Really was terribly concerned. I was always into that concept, but I was always convinced that it was going to be terrible.
The thing is, you had been excited about it a long time, and I was always skeptical, kind of making fun of you for being so excited about the game, and then I finally sat down to play it, I was like, wow.
I was excited. I was really excited. Just conceptually, I was excited. I wanted it to be really good. Yeah. But I always knew in the back of my mind there was a chance this game was going to be terrible, especially given its really rocky development cycle. But my biggest surprise of the year comes in the form of XCOM Enemy Unknown, a genre I have never, ever played before, and I was terrified to even attempt playing it, and had a fucking blast, like addicting as hell. Loved that game. We'll eventually go back to it and try to finish it. It's one of those games. Permadeath is a thing, and you can fail out of that game, which is terribly stressful. But man,
I agree in the sense that this is one of the first games I played in a while where you can literally lose.
And the thing is, this is a comparison.
Although I was excited about the moment it was.
This is a comparison I made in my in my top 10 video, but I feel like XCOM has a lot of the same qualities as like Tetris, but it's like a big budget like strategy game because you can play it and play it and play it, and then you die and just start the whole thing over, but that randomness is there to kind of keep it feeling fresh, and that was awesome.
But it's also there's a lot of like roguelike games we've talked about that came out this year, like Spelunky and FTL and things like that, and you can totally fail and die in those games and lose too. But if you die in FTL, you've lost maybe 30 minutes of your life. Yeah. If you lose in XCOM, you've probably lost like 20 hours.
Yeah. For me I lost about 6.
Yeah, he lost 8. I mean, you can lose.
Yeah, I mean,
you can fail at the beginning,
amount of time,
but you can fail at the end of the game and lose a long amount. All right, next category.
Our next category is biggest disappointment. This should be a quick one. Let's not spend a lot of time.
I bet.
And by the way, Nolan has prefaced this tonight by saying he actually has 4 games.
All right, I'll be quick. I got more. Quick honorable mentions. Quantum Conundrum was a little bit of a disappointment for me. That was, I think, one of my most anticipated games of the year when we did our 2012 show, like preview show, and I didn't really love it as much as I thought it was going to. Sound Shapes was a little bit of a disappointment to me because I expected a lot out of user-created content, but that game is so focused on keep making everything pretty. They didn't bother making a functional system to rate and browse like quality levels. So it's just you just can't find them. It's really annoying. But Xenoblade kind of a disappointment for me. Mass Effect 3 kind of a disappointment for me. But my runner-up is Resident Evil 6. Resident Evil 4 is one of my favorite games of all time, and I'm one of the big defenders of Resident Evil 5. A lot of people thought it went full retard, but
I still play that game to completion and love it.
No, I know, but I really do love that game. I think it's a super innovative.
I just hate the fucking volcano. That's all I hate. That's all. The only problem I have with that game is the fucking volcano.
But I think it's a really good co-op game, and I even think they do some innovative things with AI. But my winner, and I probably expected Resident Evil 6 to be a better game, so you think it might be more disappointing. But the reason Hitman Absolution is my most disappointing game is because, one, I love Blood Money. It's one of my favorite games of the generation. Maybe not as much as Resident Evil 4,
Me too.
But it had been such a long time since Blood Money. This was the same developer, making the same I just wanted like Blood Money, but more modernized, better controls,
4 years, I think.
Look a little nicer. More than 4 years. I mean, fucking 2006.
2006
was Blood Money.
The thing is, this game I feel was ruined by one simple mistake, and that was.
Okay. Wait. I'm not going to talk about that.
Let's not get
all I'm going to say is it was at the point in time where when they first started showing this game, I was really down on it. When they showed that evade the cops thing,
yes,
but then after that, all they started showing was the stuff that made me think it was going to be like Blood Money. Like they showed literally a couple of the 10% of the game that wasn't fucking terrible.
They literally showed the best they had to offer.
They fooled us.
That was like
they
classic
fooled us.
Bait and switch.
Yeah, bait and switch is right, and it's like they knew that like the hardcore fans, when we saw that first stuff, they knew we were upset. So like, oh, we'll just show them this stuff and we'll maybe get them to buy the game. And sure enough, I got it day one, and man, I was fooled, man.
I love that PC Gamer review came out and shitted on the game,
and everyone was like,
no,
don't listen to them. They're crazy.
They just have a vendetta. No, they're not right at all. But they were completely right.
We should have listened.
We didn't listen.
It crushed me.
Let the record show that the level that I said, fuck it, I'm out, and I quit that game, and I traded it in, was the library level.
Well, you know what? There's a lot more shit like that in the game. Wait,
to me, that game is unplayable. Okay,
all right. So I have.
Let's keep it short.
Dishonorable mention: Darksiders 2. Like, the story in this game didn't capture me as it did in the first one, and I was just kind of let down by it. I was expecting a lot out of the game, especially when I saw the new art, like RPG, I guess you could say, elements to it, the loot, stuff like that. I really liked that idea, but I was just kind of let down by it. Another dishonorable mention is Assassin's Creed 3. Not just for the multiplayer. Not the multiplayer. Multiplayer aside.
He was pretty bummed. He was pretty down.
I had a lot of problems with the game because I felt like they just didn't go as they had so much potential from the games before. They had learned a lot. They knew they had fixed mistakes. 2 and Brotherhood and Revelations, they fixed some mistakes and they made things better. But then they just, I don't know, they really messed up in my opinion.
They overreached, I feel like. They tried to add too much new stuff in it, and
I don't
none of
feel
it was
like
really
Connor was an assassin
well.
in this game. I really don't. I felt like he was working for the Brotherhood as like a little like, hey, you go kill those Templars.
He was much more of a blunt instrument.
Yeah, I didn't feel like he was an assassin in my opinion. And I just thought there were a lot of things in the game that were broken. The convoy system, I didn't really like the homestead as much as I liked the original stuff. There's a lot of things in this game which I thought I was extremely let down by because, like I've said before, this had the potential to be my number one game of the year if they would have fixed a lot of the things. I mean, that's why I'm so disappointed, is because the potential was there. Okay, so my runner-up is...
Careful, your paper makes a lot of noise.
Mass Effect 3. The reason this is one of my most disappointing games of the year is because all through Mass Effect 1 and Mass Effect 2, they were leading up, all these decisions you're making are going to accumulate into something. And I was kind of let down to Mass Effect 2 because it's like, I shaved Ashley and she showed up.
You shaved Ashley?
Yeah. I saved Ashley and she showed up for 5 minutes and then was gone. I was like, that kind of sucks.
Ashley wasn't gone in 5 minutes. I had a relationship with her in Mass Effect 3.
In 2.
Oh.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I was let down in 2 because she showed up and then she was like, thanks for saving me, bye. And I was like, what the fuck is that? My decision did nothing. And so then I had all these different interactions in 2 and I was like, well, they have to go somewhere in 3, and they didn't. And it really pissed me off. And I felt like they were touting, so much.
Touting. We talked about this.
I know. They were touting all this different stuff. The decisions you make a big deal. And all the decisions, Paragon, Renegade, they're leading up to this big decision at the end. And how the game's going to turn out. And at the end, you literally just make the decision right there. And I was just so let down at where the game went, especially with the shitty ending. But anyway, my winner for biggest disappointment of 2012 is Hitman Absolution. Everything Brad said is true. I mean, I love Blood Money. I've played that game 5 or 6 times. I've beaten it on the most difficult difficulty, and with no problem. Hitman Absolution's a piece of garbage.
Agreed.
I finished it because I had to.
Because no one likes garbage.
I finished it as well,
See,
and I really didn't
so
want to.
So does Brad. Crispy.
It was a bad game.
Okay. My runner-up for biggest disappointment is it's kind of out of left field. It's kind of a weird one, but Lollipop Chainsaw. I really thought that was going to be.
That's an honorable mention for me as well.
And then it came out and it was.
However, let the record show, I popped that in last night randomly and started playing it a little bit.
Yeah.
It's just because a game's fun doesn't mean you can't be disappointed.
Oh no! I'm just.
It's not even that fun to play. It's got some charm, but
right.
I was disappointed as well.
It seems. I don't know. I'm
just saying I popped it in last night and I had more fun than I remember having the first time I played it.
Yeah, it just seems
maybe I just
more
stopped
two-dimensional than I thought it would be. But I mean, it's Suda51.
I'm just sad Suda's never bested Killer 7. Still his best game.
Yeah. And my winner is If you can guess.
Hitman Absolution?
Hitman Absolution.
All right. Well, then I'll just pick off from there, and I'll say my runner-up is Hitman Absolution. I think that game is completely unplayable. I mean...
No, yeah, it is.
In any sense...
It's horrible.
I mean, you can finish that game, you can beat it, but not
You don't feel good about it.
You don't feel good.
Those last few levels were
do not.
so bad!
The last few levels are atrocious. You never even got to them. And we've talked about it before. It's like guards magically knowing where you are, and the horrible blend, disguising yourself.
Don't
even
get me started on that disguise system.
The part where you have to run through that street like Call of Duty style and get to the fucking end.
The fucking smoke level where it's all smoky and you're just sneaking in between people and stuff. It's horrible.
But my biggest disappointment, or actually honorable mention, the Wii U launch lineup.
Oh yeah,
because
I still think you would have been surprised by that.
Maybe so. And I'll still give it a try. I just haven't had time lately.
It's on your regrets list.
My disappointment, though, my biggest disappointment is Resident Evil 6. I'm a big Resident Evil fan. I loved 4 is, it's up there for me. I fucking love 4, and I loved 5 despite the awful ending to that game.
This is tangent.
I don't want to have a tangent.
I agree.
I don't want to talk about
What are
story.
the chances of DMC letting you
I seconded the motion of no tangent.
Considering I'm 4 missions into DMC, and it's everything I wanted it to be.
But there's a certain backflipping dinosaur in Resident Evil 6 that really kind of threw you for a loop.
Best game
if
nobody
somebody
played
from DMC
is the category we're on now.
All right, what
best
are we
game
on?
Nobody played.
Best game nobody
best
played.
Best game nobody played. I find it a little weird. Like we removed like sort of the underrated category, and this really isn't that. I think we thought that these categories were too similar, but honestly, they're really not. So I have on here like what I think these games that people actually haven't really heard much about, but I played and had a really good time with. I'm just gonna on an honorable mention. I'm gonna throw in Twisted Metal because not enough people picked up that game, got through that campaign, saw those creative bosses and stuff, and not enough people played online. But my honorable mention goes to a game called Tiny and Big. Mm-hmm. I don't know if y'all seen clips of it, but it's like an indie game on the PC where you have the ability to like slice through the environment, and it does really crazy things with scale where you can like slice a laser through like a cliffside and then use your grappling hook to like rip the entire side of the cliff down. And it's kind of a platformer where you have to find interesting ways to, you're trying to get around, but you're doing it in this like crazy way of just manipulating this giant like scale of environment. It's a really cool game, and I don't know why more people didn't really talk about it. But I'm going to go ahead and give my winner to Crimson Shroud because it's I didn't quite finish it, and it's not really going to pop up anywhere else on my list. But this is that game I bought the 3DS for. This is the game that Yasumi Matsuno developed game, creator of Final Fantasy Tactics and Vagrant Story and Final Fantasy 12. This is that game that was part of Guildo 1 in Japan, but they came over here as separate games, and they're downloadable on the eShop. I think the game was fucking $8, but it's a really, really cool RPG that is all like it's all like it has a tabletop like Dungeons and Dragons like presentation where you go into these somewhat traditional RPG battles, but you're constantly like rolling dice on the bottom screen to find out if your attack's gonna land or not, or you're rolling dice before a battle to find out if you're gonna get advantage or determine like how many times, like it's a ranged battle, throw to determine how many times your range attacks are gonna be or your melee attacks are going to be limited. It's a really cool presentation. It's got the really quality like Matsuno writing. The story is really interesting that way, and it kind of surprised me. I'm not finished, but I played at least 10 hours of it. It's got these really addictive like loot system as well, where you want to keep fighting battles because every single time you're getting loads of loot that you can fuse into the stuff you already have, and it makes me. This game was supposed to be like 7 hours long. I'm not even halfway through, and I've spent over 10 hours on it just because I keep grinding and getting the awesome loot. Really big surprise. I know a lot of y'all probably haven't even heard of it, but probably the best game no one played.
Nice. Probably. My only problem with this category is I didn't get to really play a whole lot of games that are out there, and most of the games I did play, I talked about on here, so people know about them and probably played them. But one of my runner up is Dust, an Elysian Tale. I don't think a lot of people played that, even though
that's really sad too. I think you're right.
Was that part of Summer of Arcade?
No, it was the last one.
It was the last one, but I still don't think enough people played it, and they really should because it's a great game. I mean, the RPG elements, the characters are in. Like I've said before, every single line of dialogue is voiced and done well. It's a really good game. I have my winner on here is FTL. Faster Than Light. It's been on sale a lot on Steam, and I really hope people have taken advantage of that. It's been like
I think it's been getting a lot of buzz, so it's been picking up.
The only reason I didn't put it on there is because it did get a lot of buzz.
Even still, like every time we talk about it on the show, or like every time we post a video that mentions it, we still keep seeing comments pop up that are like, "Oh, I'm going to try FTL now." You guys keep talking about it. Like it just seems like one of those things where like it may seem like a lot of people played it to us because we're kind of in. Like, we're in a community of people that go out of our way to find good games. Mm-hmm. But I think most gamers as a whole maybe haven't heard of it. Maybe haven't had a chance.
True.
Speaking of which, no one's here played much of Legend of Grimrock, have you?
No.
That's another one.
I guess I could use that as an honorable mention. But
all right. Go, Crispy.
Well, for those reasons I mentioned, FTL was my runner-up in this category. Mm-hmm. I feel like my winner now, more people maybe have played it, but it was definitely true
when it came out
within the months coming out. Spec Ops: The Line, definitely.
Finally, people in chat have been saying, "When is someone going to mention Spec Ops?"
Yeah, definitely. That was a game that most people haven't played. I think a lot of people who did pick it up on a whim were expecting something that they didn't expecting something.
And also, to be fair, I think
got a different thing.
I think a lot of people that came out months after it came out because of all the buzz and started playing it ended up buying the game used because at that point all the games had been played and traded back in and shit. So I mean, it probably didn't end up making that studio a lot of money.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's a shame.
But I only have one. I don't have a runner up. I don't really know why, but my winner is The Unfinished Swan. I don't think that game
I didn't even get around to playing it, so...
The game is really good.
Yeah.
And it does a lot of really interesting things mechanically and plays with your mind in a lot of really interesting ways. And it just tells a really whimsical story that, you know, you can knock it out in fucking 3 or 4 hours. Really great game. And I just don't think anybody knows much about it and has picked it up. So if you haven't, I recommend it. It's like... how much is that game? It's like $10?
It's not a lot.
Not a lot. Next category is
best game from another year.
Yes, and this is a weird category. We do this every year, but this is just kind of
a weird category. It's a legitimate category.
I know, but it's not really a category. It's not a 2012 award. It's an award. It's opportunity for us to shine light on a game that we played this year that came out.
I played
previously.
like 12 games that came out in a different year this year.
Okay, well let's get started.
I had a really hard time because I don't keep a document. That's one thing I can't just look at game rankings and say, what did I play this year?
That's why y'all should start keeping a document.
But
I
have one.
Unless someone in chat can remind me of something else, I know there's two specifically that stood out, and I played them both during that month during the summer where y'all got to vote for what we played all month long. And my runner-up is definitely System Shock 2. Holy shit! I think this game is, but it's like BioShock with depth.
Yeah,
and it's just. I mean, it's the game they did before BioShock, but or years before they did BioShock. But it's just, it's like BioShock, but you can do stuff like research materials and combine chemicals. Like it's like BioShock in space, but with like a crazy AI
in space.
Yeah,
that was weird. That was really weird. Let the record show I was not looking at Nolan when we both started doing that. Oh god.
But, you know...
that throw you off, Brad?
What the fuck?
It's just a really great game. I didn't quite get to finish it, but I did get to, like, the climactic twist that everyone always talks about. I will go back to finish that eventually. But I'm going to say the winner is a game I also didn't finish because I sort of stopped playing these games after that month. But Vampire the Masquerade. This is another game that's a lot like, you know, System Shock 2, like Deus Ex, like these sort of like open-ended... games with like RPG elements to them, like the first person games, but they have like a lot of RPG elements to them, and like the world, the atmosphere, the writing and the characters in this game are so good. It's like Deus Ex, but with a really cool, you know, vampiric twist. And
sounds cool to me.
Like, this game didn't come out that long ago, and I swear to God, it's on Steam. It still holds up. If you haven't played this game, you can still go back. I mean, it's a pain in the ass to get System Shock 2 running, but Vampire the Masquerade, do it. It's incredible. And, you know, it... Like, for example, if this game came out in fucking 2012, it would be my best world. It would have, you know, the best, like it'd be win most of these awards. I'm just saying, this game's incredible.
Speaking of awards, my runner-up for best game from another year is actually Saints Row the Third. I never got around to playing it in 2011.
I didn't even know you played it this year.
Yeah, at the very beginning of the year, because it came out at the end of 2011 and 11.
That game is 2 years old.
It came out at the end of 2011.
It came out in November.
That's why this is the best game from another year.
Oh, fuck. I'm sorry. I was thinking... Oh, never mind.
Anyway, so yeah, that's fine.
My bad.
I don't care. You suck. So yeah, I played at the beginning of the year. Like, literally, I think I started it on, like, January 7th. But yeah, I played at the beginning of the year, and I actually ended up beating this game in, like, 2 days, because I constantly played it, because I just fell in love with the world.
Any game that has you... running through the streets with a carriage being pulled by a sex slave.
Oh god, yeah,
wins my heart.
There's crazy stuff in this game. And then my winner for best game for another year is actually Dark Souls. Once again, I never got around to playing this when it came out, and I played it this year, and just the game blew me away, and I had so much fun with it. Saints Row the Third, I started on January 8th. And I finished on January 12th.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I don't even know what game I was playing from previous years back then, but I know it was...
That's why I have this handy-dandy little document that I keep all the information.
Well, usually I just look at school's
you
list.
have a nice phone now, Brad.
Oh, yeah.
Usually I just look at school's list.
But yeah, Dark Souls 2, fantastic game.
I mean Dark Souls.
Sorry, thank you. Dark Souls. I'm excited for Dark Souls 2. But yeah, Dark Souls, fantastic game. I was so afraid when I started playing it, and I think that's one of the reasons is because, you know, back from Demon Souls, I was just scared of the world. But as soon as I got into it, like, one of those games that literally, like, had my entire focus. I was thinking about it the entire time. If I was in class, I'm like, oh, okay, when I get home, I'm going to do a loot run for that. I know there's by that dragon. And I would just constantly be thinking about this game. And so, great
Those are great. I do love those games.
All right. So it's funny that you mentioned Vampire the Masquerade, because that was actually going to be my honorable mention. I started playing that before my computer died.
Womp womp.
Womp womp. Actually, I've only got that, so that's probably actually going to be my runner-up. My winner is Hitman Blood Money.
Nice.
Because after Absolution came out, I was so disenfranchised, I just had to go back and remind myself what Hitman could be.
Yeah.
Very good, very good. So I didn't play a whole lot of games this year from another year, but out of the ones that I did play, actually, I only have one game I'm going to mention. My winner is Battlefield 3. I played that for the first time this year.
Wait, you don't? What about your runner-up? You don't have a runner-up?
I technically do, but I didn't play enough of it, so I don't really want to mention
You're
it.
talking about... What about Demon Souls?
Oh, that's what I fucking forgot to write down. I knew what I was... Sorry. Let me swap those, because I just actually told myself a minute ago, because I didn't write it down, but I meant to. My runner-up is Battlefield 3. My winner is Demon Souls. I apologize for that. It completely slipped my mind.
Okay, ever see some more Demon Souls?
Yeah, I'm going to play it this Friday.
Yeah, I mean,
although I'm probably going to
I
split...
played a lot of games that didn't come out.
I'm probably going to split my time on, because I broadcast from 7 to 11 on Friday. I'm probably going to split 2 hours of Demon Souls and 2 hours of DMC, because you can't keep me away from DMC. I'm sorry. But yes, sorry, stop looking at that. Battlefield 3 is pretty sweet.
Nice.
Multiplayer is fucking crazy. I love that game, and I was actually not as disappointed with the single player as some other people thought or were. But yeah,
Speaking of being disappointed by multiplayer, what's your award for the game that's out of your comfort zone?
God damn it, Nolan.
Shut up. I'm trying to move this along.
I know.
It's already fucking 10:40.
But these are long shows. I mean, we're still doing pretty good on time. We started after 8, I think.
We started like at 8.
We're almost done.
Oh shit. Go ahead, keep going.
I'm gonna go. My runner-up is PlanetSide 2 because I don't, or my honorable mention. I don't usually play big multiplayer games, and that one sort of hooked me good for a little while there. I sort of had to cut that off, but yeah, I don't usually really play multiplayer games for long periods of time, and I played those very much. Oh my god!
What is it at?
I forgot to 13%.
Oh, that's not bad.
I forgot to plug.
I thought it was at like 2% or something. Like,
you should be able to plug into
But-
that thing down there.
I would say my runner-up and my winner is Spelunky and FTL for the same reasons.
Really?
I never play roguelikes. I'm very much all about like the reason I don't play
now
a lot
it's
of
12%, but we're good.
the reason I don't play a lot of multiplayer games is because I hate the feeling that I'm spending a shit ton of time and not actually making any progress.
you're not
like
getting anything out
no
of it.
bankable progress. Like I'm not beating this game. I'm not getting to a point and saving. You know, and that's how I feel about roguelikes. I hate the feeling that I can play this game over and over and over again, like all night long, and make no real progress. Spelunky was like that. Yeah. FTL was like that at first before I started unlocking at ships as well.
Spelunky, you can unlock shortcuts and stuff like that.
But I got to a point in Spelunky where I had to bring the key all the way to
that key
the
was
temple.
tough.
Fuck that. That's actually when I stopped playing.
I ended up tweeting a picture of that when I finally ended up doing it because I was.
Yeah.
What the fuck was that?
But for the same reasons, because they're roguelikes, FTL is the winner because not only I thought it was I don't really play like space semi type games, and why it wasn't super deep. It wasn't super complicated as a lot of others out there. Ones that I wanted to try, like Crusader Kings 2, but that was too far out of my comfort zone for me to even try. FTL really surprised me, and I'm glad I took a chance on it because I love it.
So, my runner-up for games out of my comfort zone is PlanetSide 2 as well. Once again, I'm the same with Brad. I'm not huge into multiplayers. I mean, you could count all the multiplayers I played on one hand, probably. I'm not super big into it.
So 5.
Anyway, PlanetSide 2 really wowed me when I played it. Just how expansive the game was and how much detail there was in it. And then my winner for best game out of my comfort zone in 2012 was Chivalry Medieval Warfare for the same reason, PlayStation 2.
I remember you getting so mad at that game.
Oh my god, I was so frustrated. It's difficult.
It's fun.
It's a lot of fun though. I mean, like I said, we talked about it the week after I played it. And, just a bunch of guys sieging your castle, and you're dumping things of hot oil on them, and you're like shooting at them with ballistas from the sides of the tower you're trying to protect. I mean, it's so much fun, especially when things are going well. When a guy tries to jump over you to dodge your sword attack, and you chop off his legs, and like
that sounds fun.
Did y'all see that clip where I couldn't remember the name of Lost World? Well, I was comparing it to the scene where the raptors like converge on that dude.
Yeah.
That there was a great moment where like there's just like one dude left from another team, and like 4 of us were just charging him down, and he just got destroyed in such a hilarious way. Oh man, that's a really cool game.
Yeah,
I wish I had talked about it more.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would like to make honorable mention for the comfort zone to Walking Dead, specifically for the reason that I played the Jurassic Park Telltale game. I played that.
What the fuck?
And it was shit. And that's a big factor into why I didn't play Walking Dead for as long as I did. My runner-up is going to be for Spec Ops. Particularly for those moments in the game where you feel like you're kind of forced into making a choice that is really ambiguous. You don't really know. Like there's those moments in the game where you could just not do anything. Like thinking of moments like when you run into that soldier from the unit for the first time, and he's like backing away, but you all got your guns drawn on him. You can shoot him and kill him right there to keep him from warning other people, but at the same time, he's also a U.S. soldier like you are, so you're kind of hesitant to pull the trigger.
I didn't kill that guy.
Oh, well, I did. I did the first time.
I killed him dead. I killed him real good.
I shot him so hard. But those moments where you're just kind of like making these choices and you don't really feel good about them and things like that. But my winner is going to be for XCOM Enemy Unknown, because I don't play strategy games typically.
God damn it, Chris.
I typically don't play strategy games, and that is a big one to just jump into.
Oh, yeah.
If you're not really a fan of strategy games. However, as punishing and as absolutely evil as that game can be sometimes...
So good.
It's so much fun. It's so good.
It touches me in all the right places.
Kurt's so good.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and say my winner is also XCOM Enemy Unknown for the same reasons. It's crazy addicting. And I'll give my runner-up to Lumines Electronic Symphony for the Vita.
Nice.
The game is so fucking addicting.
Can I borrow your Vita?
Addictive.
Well, you asked me that now that I'm actually thinking about it and wanting to actually continue playing that game.
Playing Devil May Cry.
Okay, can I borrow your 3DS?
No, you can't borrow my 3DS for a year.
Can I borrow your 3DS?
No. Nobody can borrow my 3DS anymore. But if you have a Vita, if you're one of the 5 people out there that has a Vita and you have not played Lumines Electronic Symphony, holy shit, play that game. It's so addicting. Addictive.
Hey, Brad, what are the worst games that everyone played this year?
Okay.
When did Nolan start hosting this show?
When we need to move on!
Well, this is kind of a weird one because
It is.
it's like, oh, was it sales or whatever? My twist is sort of like kind of the most overrated games that everyone played this year because I don't really know how well they sell.
Oh, great. Let's hear this.
Oh, by the way, that is another good one. The accordion in chat, or accordion.
I don't dislike this game. I don't dislike this game, but I think I barely played that game, dude.
Okay.
I don't have as much. You think I have like a huge agenda against the game? I don't really. I was just the first couple hours I was like, I kind of played this before. That's it. That's where it ended for me. But you think I hate this game?
Say your game.
Oh, I don't hate this game. Don't kill me. Because I do kind of like it, but everyone, it's like the highest rated game of the year. Everyone's like, it's the second coming. Video
Assassin's
games are
Creed
art.
3?
I think Journey is a wee bit overrated.
Okay.
You know, it's not a bad game, but it's a wee bit overrated. Outside of, it looks really nice and sounds nice, and they do some cool, interesting stuff with like multiplayer. Honestly, I expected a lot more. It wasn't all that fun to play. You know, I was hoping there was going to be more to it. It connected to a lot of people on an emotional level. Not for me. You know, I actually think that this is not. I think Flower is a better game from that game company because that one's actually fun to play. And you know,
It was fun to play.
I don't know. I replayed almost most of it when I was capturing it, and you know, I just realized that people love this game a little too much. Or I realized that when I first played it.
Yeah.
But my actual winner for most, I guess, the worst game everyone played, because everyone played it, Mass Effect 3. The reason I'm saying Mass Effect 3 is because a lot of people were shitting on it about the ending, but I actually believe that I was actually kind of okay with the ending. My problems were more core to, you know, the actual gameplay, the game they designed, the level design, the structures, the fact that I feel like every mission, even like core story missions, are land on a planet, watch a cutscene, run down these linear areas filled with, you know, fucking waist high boxes to hide behind and take pot shots at people.
That's how the future's going to be designed.
Get to the end,
That's
watch a
the architecture
cutscene.
of the future.
Watch a cutscene, make a decision that doesn't really matter, then fly out. And you rinse and repeat throughout the course of that game, and it was a huge letdown. I was expecting them to, you know, go from Mass Effect 2 to 3 and actually add in some of the RPG elements that they... I was hoping they would go a little bit more back to Mass Effect 1's way of doing things, and it even went further in that Mass Effect 2 direction, which, if y'all remember, Mass Effect 2 was also a little bit of a disappointment for me.
Cool. So, my worst games everybody played. Honorable mention goes to Halo 4, because I've never been a big fan of the Halo series. That's just me personally. That's my opinion.
You can be wrong sometimes.
My runner-up... I know. Let me know when I am, because I wasn't then. My runner-up is Hitman Absolution. And just from like what we were saying, I mean, we were tricked into playing this game.
And I think that game performed pretty well commercially.
I don't think it did.
You don't think so?
I think it got too many high ratings. I understand why
overrated.
Yes, I understand. A lot of games sometimes will have, you know, a bunch of low ratings, and I'm like, I think that's better than that. But this one, I think, should have been nowhere near. Everything should have been below a 70, in my opinion. I don't think this game deserves any of the good ratings it got. I don't know why the people who rated it high did. I think this was
because it was pretty.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say anything. They suck.
It was accessible.
So my winner for worst game everyone played is Mass Effect 3, just like Brad. A lot of the same reasons. When I heard you got to make the decision, do you want to play this as a shooter or an RPG, I was pissed off because I knew that meant it was going to be a shooter with a few times where you make a decision if you want to do this or that. Yeah. And that's what it was. It literally, like, Cookie Cutter is a good example. It was a shooter, and occasionally during some cutscenes you could decide if you want to go left or right. and that's the RPG side of it. I was let down by it.
You know what? I hope BioWare plays the fucking Walking Dead because that will show them how to make interesting
decision,
or set up.
Well, it's hard to ignore now at this point. So,
okay.
Or they could play Alpha Protocol.
My runner-up for worst game everyone played is going to be Zombie U. Actually,
wait, you played it?
I haven't actually played it.
Oh.
I've watched reviews.
Wait, for worst game everybody played?
Yeah, I mean anyone who bought a Wii probably got Zombie.
And that was a higher rated game.
That was one of the games they were using to sell the Wii U, and it apparently wasn't any good at all, and that's just kind of disappointing. That's why it's my runner-up. It's not my number one choice. My number one choice, Call of Duty Black Ops 2, man. I don't give a fuck about Call of Duty. And I mean, that's just it.
The multiplayer is fun.
It is fun, but I don't understand. I don't get it.
The sad thing is, you can probably rinse and repeat this category every year and give it to the same game.
Probably
sucks, but I understand the sentiment.
Yep.
My runner-up for worst game everybody played was actually Kingdoms of Amalur: Reckoning. Big RPG that came out earlier in the year.
Wait, you played that?
About 15 hours of it. And then I just had to stop. It got to a point where it was just too generic fantasy.
Yeah.
And everything started to look the same. It started to look. WoW was starting to bleed into it. I was starting to see World of Warcraft as I was playing this game. And
you played WoW?
Yeah, I played it for about a month, a long time ago. But I don't know. It just started to. It was too generic for me, and it got a lot of praise. I understand it had all that controversy surrounding a studio, but man, it didn't gel with me. But it's not my winner. My winner for worst game everybody played was Resident Evil 6. That game performed really well commercially, and honestly, I think that game is dog shit. Dog shit. I finished one of the campaigns, couldn't stomach the thought of finishing the other two, and I traded it in.
Yeah.
Dinosaur does a backflip and knocks a helicopter out of the sky with a swinging tail.
Do you regret trading it in?
No.
Then, Brad, what are your biggest regrets from 2012?
Fuck you, Nolan. Fuck you.
All
right.
My runners-up are my honorable mentions real quick. Again, didn't play enough handhelds.
I didn't play any handhelds.
I didn't play. I expected to get into Guild Wars 2. I didn't have the time to do that. I didn't play enough JRPGs again this year. You know,
like a lot of people did.
Tales of Grace's F was supposed to be really good in terms of mechanics. I passed on that. I wanted to get to the last story. I passed on that, story. And I didn't finish Xenoblade, and I kind of wanted to. But my runner-up is actually I didn't complete my Witcher saga. I started reading the books. The whole idea was that I'm going to read the books, I'm going to get through Witcher 1, and I'm going to get through Witcher 2. But shit came up, and one is I stopped going to the gym, and that's kind of where I did all my reading. So I never finished that second book, which
in the jacuzzi.
So I refused to let myself finish Witcher 1, and therefore I couldn't finish Witcher 2 either. So I'm still stuck in this limbo where I'm not going to do it until I finish the books. And like once that happens, it's going to be great, but my decision was not to rush it. I kind of regret not setting aside the time to do that. But my winner is actually, there was a lot of really cool, interesting multiplayer games that came out this year, and I regret not spending more time with them. I regret not playing more PlanetSide 2. I regret not playing more Chivalry. I regret not playing more Twisted Metal as much as I played that early on. And I regret not playing Mass Effect 3's multiplayer. I heard really good things about it.
I heard it was good.
Everything I heard about it sounds like, oh man, that sounds amazing. I definitely want to play that. I never played a second of it.
It was very good.
And I regret it. You know, it's I talked about it before, but it's my whole thing of like, I feel like I need to feel like I'm making progress, and that's sort of why I stay away. But at the end of the year, when I was playing PlanetSide 2, I realized, wait a minute, but I'm having a fun time. It doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. But at that point, it was too late. Yeah. You know, I was out of time, and I was like, fuck.
Yep.
All right, Nolan.
All right, so I have a couple of runners up. Twisted Metal. Didn't play it. I mean, I really wanted to.
I own that game and I didn't play it.
Yeah, and that's everyone I've talked to. Every time I've seen Brad playing it, I'm like, this looks like a lot of fun. It's lack of time. I mean, that came out at the beginning of the year, and the beginning of the year was when I was really busy with school. You know, I pulled eight, maybe 9 all-nighters this year for school, and so I mean I was really busy the first half of the year, and the second half of the year I pretty much was just trying to play catch up. Fez didn't get around to that.
I regret not to getting deeper into that.
I
feel like I missed the boat.
So Fez I probably played about half an hour, 45 minutes.
That's I played a lot of that.
Yeah, no, I didn't play enough. Binary Domain is going to be my runner-up. I bought that game. I've only played
good
20 minutes of it. I got through that first area where you're swimming under the water and shit at the very beginning. And then my winner is Spec Ops, another game that I bought and I haven't even started. I have the game. Nick's played my copy.
He bought it and I've started it.
Nick's farther in that game than I am, and that's one of my huge regrets because everyone talked about how good that game is.
Yeah,
cool. My honorable mention runner-up is going to be pretty much every PC game that I didn't get to play this year that came out. Like Hotline Miami, Chivalry, PlanetSide 2, like all these games that I wanted to play. Torchlight 2. Hopefully I'll be able to get on those soon. The Witcher 2. I played an hour. I basically got into the first area and started doing quests. I really liked where it was going. I stopped playing and I haven't been back since.
You should play that game.
You know what's a shame? I played over 25 hours of The Witcher 2, but I stopped to go back.
Am I the only
books.
one that's finished The Witcher 2 at this table?
Probably.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
I'm
also,
going to finish it someday.
I'm the only one on our site who's finished Final Fantasy 13.
That is true. That is true.
Sorry, go ahead, Chris.
And actually, no, that's about it. I was also going to make mention that I also bought Demon Souls with the intention of starting that, and I still haven't even taken it out of the box. So.
Demon Souls?
Yeah. Demon Souls. But that's not from this year, so it doesn't really count. Gotcha. But that is a regret I have.
Yeah. All right, I have a lot of regrets this year. One,
you should.
One of my resolutions last year is to play more PC games. I have a Steam account now. Haven't bought a single goddamn thing on it.
People actually in chat were asking what your Steam account was because they wanted to give you games.
I don't know what my Steam account is. I will make it publicly known via Twitter and the site and everything when I figure out what my Steam.
What would be the
is.
game that someone has to buy for Nick on Steam to get him to play it?
Well, how about that leads into one game that I tremendously regret not being able to play is Torchlight 2. I would love to play Torchlight 2. My runner-up is Hotline Miami. That game is right up my fucking alley. It's all about serial murder. I will play that game.
It's a good game.
And the soundtrack is awesome.
I regret not playing Diablo 3.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, shit.
Don't regret that, Brad.
But my biggest
You did good.
My biggest regret, hands down, no questions asked, is Dragon's Dogma.
Yeah.
What the fuck was I doing with my life?
So I could capture some footage of earlier in the game. Yeah. He's like nowhere.
Did you get his pawn?
He has a pawn, and I think he just got some other people's
He's
pawns.
standing right outside the first village.
Yeah, no, like literally, if you look at his map, there is a path from Casardis to the Grand Sword, and that's it. Just like a one path. And that's it.
There's more?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm filled with a tremendous amount of regret for not having played more of that game. I intend to get to it this year. So yeah.
Everyone's saying I dodged a bullet or whatever, or I'm not missing stuff with Diablo 3. The only reason I wanted to do it is because Diablo 2 is probably my most played game of all time, and it's also my top 5 games of all time. So I need to at least have, said I played through it. And I didn't even do that.
What happened? Because, a year ago or so, it was more like, I'm not touching that game. I'm not touching that game. And we were talking about,
I feel like
David had the idea of like forcing you to play the game and then snapping the disc in half after about an hour of you playing it.
Well, I mean, I got to the point where I realized after all the reviews came out and everyone talked about it and saying that it's nothing like Diablo 2, I realized that I probably wouldn't have gotten addicted to it.
Okay.
But then I never got around to it.
All right, let's finish
All right,
this.
so our last category of the night of 2012 is our number 11, which is basically the game that just barely missed our top 10. Once again, if you want to catch all of our top 10s, they are posted in the form of videos on our site at 4playernetwork.com. You can find them on our YouTube channel. They're posted on our Facebook wall. They're plastered all over the place, so please go watch them, leave us your feedback, let us know what you think. There's a video for each one of us. I think we have 2 more going up tomorrow and then 2 the following day as well.
So what's the final category?
So number 11.
This is cool because my top 10 hasn't actually been posted yet.
No.
Yeah.
That's true.
Mine either.
Oh, Chris is
But so the runner-up will be our number 12, and the winner will be our number 11. So we basically get to add 2 games to our top 10 lists.
Oh, and my honorable mentions are Spelunky, PlanetSide 2, and Final Fantasy Theater Rhythm. But my runner-up for number 11...
So you're number 12.
My number 12 is Binary Domain. I really, really like this game. It kind of surprised me when I heard that the guys that made Yakuza were going to make a third-person shooter that's trying to appeal to the West.
Banana Complex.
I honestly thought it was going to be dog shit. You know, the first trailers that they released looked really stupid. I used to make fun of it notoriously. The one where Big Bo's like, it was like getting in a fight with the other dude. He's like, what are you doing throwing a grenade? I was up there. Remember that stupid ass fucking video? But the game actually surprised me, and I realized the more I was playing it, the more fun it was, shooting up these robots. And
such good feedback.
You get good feedback. At first, your weapon's kind of like shitty, but as you level it up, you become like a shredder, just shredding through these fucking things. It's rad. And the story in the world fucking surprised me. I actually thought like the twists were interesting, and the way you build your relationships with the players and how that can actually. Like how you do in battle. Like if one of your teammates says they need help, and if you don't help them, they'll be like, your relationship with them will go down. But if you do good, it'll go up. Or if you just like act like a badass and like you'll impress your party members, they'll be like, oh, dude, that was fucking rad, and that meter will go up. And those relationships, it was a little janky in terms of like how much control you had over it, but they would actually affect decisions in the game, whether characters would end up betraying you or turning on you at key points, or even like living or dying. Believe it or not, I don't want to spoil anything, but it's pretty cool.
Now I know someone lives or dies.
The game was a delightful surprise, and one of the best games of the year. But my winner.
Your number 11.
I'm so mad that this didn't make my top 10. So close. Dust and Elysium Tale. Y'all know that Metroidvanias are like some of my favorite games of all time. In fact, Castlevania Symphony of the Night is my number 3.
Really? It's not on your top 10?
It's not on my top 10.
Oh.
I didn't. Maybe it should be, but I already recorded all that shit. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. It's really hard to do a Metroidvania right. You don't see them very often, but sometimes they're attempted.
The last really good one was Shadow Complex.
And they sort of fall flat on their face. Oh, yeah. Shadow Complex, I think, is one of the only Metroidvanias that can actually live up to the name Metroid or Castlevania Post Symphony of the Night. It's an incredible game. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about Dust and Elysium Tale. They seem to get it. They get what makes a Metroidvania addictive, and addictiveness. That's the key thing. It's like wanting to uncover every single inch of this world, wanting to get every secret, because every secret actually like feeds back into your character progression and makes them better. And it's just super satisfying. Like your OCD takes over, and you're like, I'm doing everything in this game. And sure enough, I did fucking everything in this game. And I just liked how the combat felt. Where at first you seem really fragile, but like later on in the game, you're just ripping through dudes. You see a room. Like a screen full of like 30 enemies, and you're like, fuck you, and you just rip through them, like set them on, like use the electricity spell, and they're all dead in like a fucking second.
Your companion that travels with you can shoot out electricity, and then you spin your sword in the air, and you can fly across the screen and essentially just wipe everyone out as you move across the screen.
Yeah,
it's fucking amazing.
The side quests were fun. It had a really addictive but accessible crafting system to like upgrade your shit. And I actually liked like the presentation of the story. A lot of people didn't play this game because it's like, oh, it's the furry game. But no. You don't understand.
There's a
you
good
grew
story
up
behind it.
There's not only is it a good story, but like there's no sexy fucking fox in this game. No. They're just talking animals. You grew up watching Disney films, Miyazaki films and shit with talking fucking animals. Like they do it right. There's
lots of cartoons.
I feel like the visual style, the visual presentation of these animals is more of like a Don Bluth style. You know,
that's a good example.
It's really, really fucking well done. Like table your fucking internet jokes. It's not a furry game. Go play it because it's one of the best games of the year. Just didn't make my top 10.
I'm really interested in what the top 10 is, if that's not on there.
Some good games.
This is on my top 10.
One of the games on my top 10, I think I mentioned like offhandedly, but I adore that game, and I'm frustrated that I didn't get more of a chance to bring it up. No, not Cinemora.
All right, so mine. I'm not gonna have any runners or honorable mentions. Just my number 12 goes to Gotham City Imposters. I play the heck out of this game. I loved it so much. I loved unlocking different abilities for the weapons. I would obsess over this game. Okay, I need to make 15 more kills with this weapon, and then I can unlock this and stuff like that.
It's got that really addictive.
Oh god, yeah, system. And I love just the world itself was really creative. With the very serious Batmans, and they were like, well, let's kill these Jokers, and the Jokers were fucking crazy and stuff like that. And I loved finding little okay, well, I know. I have to protect this. Protect this capture point, so I'm going to set up a trap here. I'm going to wait over here, and I know some guys are going to come from this way. And just I loved learning the levels and having fun in that game. And then my number 11 is Assassin's Creed 3.
Just barely missed your top 10, huh?
Yep, it actually got shoved off at the last minute. I had thought about putting it on my top 10, but I was just too let down.
What was your number 10?
You can find out on the video.
I watched it, I just can't remember.
Well, if you're listening at home, you can watch it over at 4playernetwork.com.
Yep.
You'll have to do that too, Brad. Damn it. Chris, what is your number 12?
All right. Well, actually, I will make honorable mention of Gotham City Imposters. It didn't make my list.
We played that a lot.
But yeah, especially when it first came out, we were playing it a bunch. And it definitely, I played it enough and
Are you playing on
enough,
Xbox?
Yeah. God damn it. To make mention of it. My number 12 is going to be Spelunky. Because we've talked about it and it's awesome, and I don't know, something about a game that has such cartoony graphics but can instill so much fear in me.
Yeah.
Like, there's something to be said for that.
Very true.
My number 11 is Far Cry 3.
Damn.
I really enjoyed...
When did you play Far Cry 3?
What do you mean, when did I play Far Cry 3? When it fucking came out.
Yeah, he was playing it a lot when it came out.
Why was that?
We talked about it.
I played probably at least 30 hours of that game.
No,
I played.
It's because you came over to play co-op one day and you brought it,
and we couldn't. Yeah. I had already been playing it for a week or two after that, or before that.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but I really enjoyed Far Cry 3. Voss was a good character. Jason Brody was a terrible character, So all that character stuff aside, the actual gameplay, the moment-to-moment of it, I mean, we've talked at lengths about this already, but it's just so fucking satisfying, some of the things you get to do in that game.
I also
especially
love
with the bow and
when
arrow.
a game like this isn't a scary game. You don't
No.
consider this
No.
But when it can instill so much fear at going into the water when there's fucking sharks around. Oh my god, every single time I had to get in the water, I would start frantically swimming, and if I got to a ship or something or a boat and I had to press space to climb in, but I didn't know and I was pressing something else and oh god, something's going to get me, and I would start, and then that makes a noise when you climb up into rubber boats, like the sound of rubber, and every time I thought I thought a shark had just bit me then. Oh, it scared me so much.
So it's kind of like when I actually get in the ocean myself.
Yeah. Just out there, I took a boat out with a machine gun on it to hunt for sharks because I needed it for one of the crafting things. And I got out to an area and I started seeing fins and seeing them swimming under. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And I don't remember exactly what I was doing, but I was dicking around and I accidentally jumped out of the boat and fell in the water. And that was just a moment of oh fuck, trying to climb back into the boat and just. I could see the sharks swimming around and shit.
Y'all ready for Grand Theft Auto 5? There are sharks in that game too.
Holy shit!
All right,
but can you kill them by running them over with a jet ski?
So no honorable mentions for me. My number 12 is Mark of the Ninja. Yes. Game's great. And we've talked about it at length. It does fucking incredible stuff in that game.
It's a better stealth game than Assassin's Creed.
It is my favorite. It might even be one of my favorite stealth games outside of the original Metal Gear Solid or something.
Oh, I think it's one of the best
stealth
games
really
ever.
well.
It's also the best ninja game I've played since the original Tenchu, which I loved. I love the original Tenchu
that he's played.
Okay, but my number 11 is Max Payne 3. Just barely missed my list. I love Rockstar games. They almost always make my top 10 when they come out. I think it's
not that. It's just I'm thinking of the games that no one mentioned.
Yeah, no. I think it's. I mean, there's a lot of games that came out this year. 2012 was crazy, but I think it might be the nature of the fact that it was a linear Rockstar game, so it didn't feel quite as special as some other Rockstar games. But that story presentation was there. That character development was there. The fucking action was awesome. The bullet time stuff was great. It just, I don't know. There's a lot of other stuff that came out this year that just barely knocked it off my list. But definitely worth playing if you're a Rockstar fan or if you're a fan of Max Payne. It's worth mentioning.
No one mentioned Sleeping Dogs anywhere.
Nope.
So it was on. It was in an honorable mention.
But I will say I considered it for like in the categories that it would qualify for. I did not just overlook it. I thought about it and I was like, nope, it wouldn't make the cut.
For me, that was a game that was like fun while I was playing it, but as soon as I finished, I just
that's the thing. Like I played.
I saw that they put out
DLC
game. For it, and I was like,
I played the shit out of that game. I played the entire game. I almost collected almost all the collectibles in the game. I had a lot of fun playing it. But yeah, it's not like it isn't exactly.
It doesn't stick with you.
It doesn't stand out over other games.
I stopped playing it, but I played like 10 hours of it. I think it was pretty fun.
Yeah.
So next up is best multiplayer, best game no one's played, and one of the most innovative games of 2013, and that's Anarchy Reigns.
And my hype is Ni no Kuni, the Wrath of the White Witch, comes out on Tuesday, and I am excited for it.
IGN gave it a 9.4.
My hope is my hype is to play some more fucking DMC.
What are you hyped about?
Yes. I am super fucking hyped for Metal Gear Solid or Metal Gear Rising.
Oh, there's a new trailer out there.
It's
crazy. It's fucking crazy.
Dude,
shit. You gotta watch it.
That demo's so good.
Ever since I played, I was a little on the fence until I played the demo, and now that I know how the game feels,
it feels good.
All right, so that puts a wrap on 2012. We're done. We have a few more top 10 videos to get out there, so please check those out. Leave comments on YouTube, on the site. We'd really love to hear your feedback. If you have a chance to thank Chris, please do so. He's been working his ass off to get those videos done.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
It couldn't have happened without you. And
Thanks,
I think we're all looking forward to 2013. There's a lot of great stuff coming out. So I don't know. Check out the site. It's 4playernetwork.com. You can watch us live every night as usual at 4pp.tv. Find us on Facebook and Twitter and all that good shit. And with that, I think we're done, right?
Dunzo.
That's it. Y'all ready? All right.
Cool.
Thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you next week.